motion Lacey back to the right side of the formation. Here's the snap. Pump fake by Nussmeier. He's going to throw towards the end zone. Caught! Touchdown! Fighting Tigers!
LSU football on Eagle 98.1, the flagship home of the Tigers. Tonight,
from Reynolds Razorback Stadium at Broyles Field in Fayetteville,
it's the LSU Tigers and the Arkansas Razorbacks. Now,
here's Charles Hannegriff and Matt Musso.
From Rouse's corner of Burbank and Lee, welcome to Eagle 98.1 Game Day. I'm Charles Hannegriff along with Matt Musso and our entire staff as we bring you to the kickoff of tonight's game between the Arkansas Razorbacks and the LSU Tigers. LSU comes in with a record of 5-1, 2-0 in Southeastern Conference play and ranked 8th in the nation by both the AP and the coaches. Last week, the Tigers won an overtime thriller, 29-26 against Ole Miss, when Garrett Nussmeier hit Kyron Lacey on the first play of LSU's possession in the overtime to win a game for LSU that they never led until they absolutely had to. LSU's habit of digging themselves a hole may come back to bite them at some point, hopefully not tonight, but going down 17-0 against South Carolina and going down 10-0 against Ole Miss in a game that could have been worse than that in their two Southeastern Conference games so far is an area of concern for Brian Kelly and his staff. The second halves, well, those have been a lot better, starting with last week's defensive effort against a stout Ole Miss offense that produced no touchdowns for the Rebels. So while LSU was able to take advantage of some of the mistakes that Ole Miss made, they also made the plays when they had to. Nussmeier, great stat on game day this morning by Lee Corso. He started 7 games 3 times. He's led game-winning drives. The fourth down pass to Mason Taylor that kept things alive. The strike to Aaron Anderson that got the game to overtime, and then the play to Lacey to win it for LSU. The Tigers will once again be looking to Garrett Nussmeier to lead the way, as Arkansas has a pretty stout run defense, but may have some holes in the secondary that LSU can exploit.
Yeah, Hanny, this game scares the hell out of me. I'm not even going to lie. I mean, it was so great being in this spot last week as LSU, right? You're coming off a bye. You're a home dog, night game, going to be a great atmosphere. Now the shoe's completely on the other foot. And you mentioned it, yeah, the run defense for Arkansas. They stopped Tennessee with 5 guys last week. LSU's run game hasn't proven to be anywhere near as stout that 5 guys should, not be enough. Nuss was off to a slow start against coverage last week. You'd think he'd see a lot more. This is going to be a dogfight, as it always is when LSU faces Arkansas.
The Razorbacks come in with a record of 4-2, 2-1 in the Southeastern Conference. Last time out, they beat Tennessee, who was a top 5 team at the time, 19-14 in Fayetteville. That was 2 weeks ago. The Razorbacks were on bye last week. Their quarterback, Talon Green, is one of the most dangerous players in the Southeastern Conference. A quarterback that can beat you with his legs or his arm, but one that comes in nursing an injury and somebody who has been a little bit turnover prone. That'll be a big facet of LSU's attack on defense tonight. The LSU defense has gotten better over the course of the 6 games. If you look back to what they did against USC, to what they did against South Carolina, to what they did against Ole Miss, this group is definitely getting better. Jaquindon Jackson, the gigantic senior running back, will be their focus tonight. The 235-pounder for Arkansas will be a handful for LSU's stop troops. But both teams having to come off of an emotional game. Arkansas has the extra week, so as Musso pointed out, a little bit of an edge for the Razorbacks there. This game has been like pulling teeth every time LSU goes up to Fayetteville. The last 3 times the Tigers have been there, they've won each time by a total of 13 points. So it's going to be another one of those games that you figure is going to come down to a fourth quarter play. But for once, LSU goes up there, and at least it's not freezing cold.
I know.
It's usually
Isn't
about
that great?
35 degrees.
It was
up there.
snowing the night before last time.
This is the game that's introduced us to hot chocolate and chicken broth
Yes,
on the
sideline. Yeah.
Gordy Rush will not have to put his cape on tonight. Yep. He'll be able to go out there in regular street clothes as the temperature is supposed to be a perfect 70 degrees at kickoff. Our entire staff here ready to walk you up to the kickoff of tonight's game. We're at Rouse's corner of Burbank and Lee. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
98.1. 98.1 Game Day Skull Session Offense. Presented by Gulf Coast Bank. Gulf Coast Bank, the bank that cares about you. Now from the LSU Sports Radio Network, here's Gordy Rush.
4 hours and 50 minutes, LSU and Arkansas. We go up to Fayetteville and we check in with Gordy. Gordy, good afternoon. How are you?
Hey, doing good, Charlie. You?
Yeah. Before we start with the X's and O's, Gordy, we want to send our sincere condolences to the family of Charles Baglio. We both know Coach Baggs for a long time, and he was killed in an automobile accident last night. Man, that one hit hard this morning to wake up to that news. Everybody around the LSU football program knew Coach Baggs. He always had a smile. He always had a funny story. He was always he was one of those guys that everybody knew him, and he knew everybody, and everybody kind of liked and gravitated toward him. That was a heck of that was just awful news that we woke up to this morning.
Yeah, I actually got a call last night from his son-in-law. They let me know, and I had the unfortunate job of kind of letting folks know up here, and we all kind of gathered downstairs. And you're talking 20 years of memory.
Yeah,
memories going, before his, of course, what he's best known is what he did at Independence and winning the state championship. And I actually spoke to him last Thursday night, and we were scheduled to have lunch on November 1st before the open week. And it just, what can you say? I mean, it was the stories on the road, like days like today, where there was so much downtime, and you get to visit with him and just talk about life, and he will be missed.
I'll tell one quick story. We were doing the show at Mike Anderson's one day, and Baggs walks in with this box full of strawberries. Baggs, where you been, man?
Oh, yeah.
And he had been up to Ponchatoula, and he said, man, I just wanted to bring, the whole box, he had all those little plastic containers, like 8 or 9 of them. Hey, I just brought you guys some strawberries. Y'all have a nice day. I was like, man, who does that? But that was Baggs. I met him back in the Superdome, when we were doing those Independence games back in the 90s, and just a terrible, terrible loss. And we send our send our sincere condolences out to his family. All right, Gordy, let's talk about today's game. LSU offensively, it took a minute to get things going last week, but, in the second half, they were able to exploit some things with Ole Miss, and, it took a while. But Nussmeier, his self-admitted worst game, but he made some just dynamic throws when he had to in that fourth quarter and then again in the overtime.
Yeah, I think a couple things, because the nature of the game that Ole Miss was running, that race car offense, they didn't run the tempo that I talked about in last week's pregame. The one that they ran against South Alabama, it just didn't fit. You ran the risk if you were quick 3 and off the field, and you had to deal with Ole Miss and that power offense that you were maybe setting your defense up for a long night. So they looked out of rhythm, and then I'll give Pete Golding some credit. He played a heck of a lot more coverage than expected. I think everybody expected him to bring some pressure. They were going to get man matchups. They got some man matchups, but it was a lot of cover 2, man under. And, LSU at times had some problems blocking the front four. I thought there were times that Garrett felt pressure when there really wasn't pressure. He could have extended the play outside the pocket. There were times that he could have ran with the football. And at times, give Ole Miss credit, our receivers just didn't get separation in the first half. Obviously, as the game went on, I think they did a nice job, LSU did, of adjusting. They attacked the middle of the football field that was open. And Ole Miss showed the signs of a team that were playing their 7th straight game, and especially in the front 7. They were beat up, they were injured, they were hobbled, and I think all the above. But LSU found their groove. Ole Miss was tiring, and they kind of figured things out.
I want to ask you about two things. When we looked at the film, Richard and I, we did the handicast. One of the things we were able to see, one of them not really. The one I don't know that we got a chance to see very much, maybe you got a better look at it, is what they were doing with Mason Taylor. Because up until that last drive, he didn't have a yard in the game. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if it was a specialty coverage or extra attention to him, but they were able to take him out of the game until the very end where he made the huge plays. What did you see?
Yeah, well, they played man under, and I thought they did a nice job of ball playing bump and run. I thought Amos was excellent, the kid that came over from Alabama, and they were they're much better on defense personnel wise, and they just did a good job of that. And I thought LSU worked too much outside the hashes. The middle of the football field was open. And then eventually you saw them start to hit the middle of the football field. There was space available. Anytime you've got two-man, the middle of the field is a natural place if you can run a little bit of play action. And they were able to do some of that. So I think it was a combination of the man press, of the man under. Then when you play two-man, you've got two safeties deep. You can afford for your defensive backs to get really, really tight and get physical because they don't have to worry about getting deep. They've got help over the top. I think that was a part of it.
The one thing we did see, though, is LSU in the run game. Look, a lot of these plays, these are not schematic breakdowns. These are plays that have good blocking angles. These are plays where holes are opening, and sometimes there's bad decisions being made. What we saw in the film, Gordy, is way more of a level of execution in the run game, particularly on the interior of the offensive line, than it is schematics.
Yeah, no doubt. People not holding their blocks, not blocking the right person. It's not as Ole Miss threw a whole lot of numbers up there like, say, South Carolina or USC did, that they were cramming the box. I just told you to play coverage. It was poor execution. I mean, Brian Kelly talked about that in his press conference when he got in and broke down in detail, positive plays and negative plays. And so, look, I mean, you're going to – Ole Miss was one of the better defenses you're going to play. Next week, that defensive front seven is fantastic. It's hard to figure out, to me, just how good this Arkansas defense is playing, Charlie, because of the level of competition that they've played. Tennessee's redshirt freshman, one-dimensional. Texas A&M, they had the backup quarterback that was a redshirt freshman. They were kind of one-dimensional in Dallas. And Auburn was awful. I mean, that was just an awful football game to watch, and they had a backup quarterback. So, needless to say, I think when you have numbers, you've got to be able to execute and block at a higher rate than what you did last week.
Due to the shortage of healthy, available wide receivers, Trey'Dez Green is going to go out there full-time now. What can a freshman that's, learning the position a little bit because he's been primarily a tight end, what can you teach him in a hurry, Gordy? What can he master? I thought about the Saban press conference, Jimbo teaching one play. They can teach him more than that. But what can we expect? Because he's a matchup problem.
He's a matchup nightmare. I've been screaming for either he or Shelton Sampson, and I'm not sure what the deal is with Sampson out there. And we saw the one ball that was intended for him, and he and the quarterback were not on the same page. But I'm going to teach him three routes. I'm going to teach him a go. I'm going to teach him a back shoulder fade, and I'm going to keep teaching him a slant. He on that slant, he is unguardable at 6'7". And, Charlie, I like to stand in the back of the end zone. When you look up, there's a 5'10" cornerback on a 6'7" wide receiver. There's no chance. And he may not outrun anybody on the go route. But it's enough that there's some 50-50 balls that I'm going to have to worry about him if I'm a defensive coordinator. And if he catches a couple of them, especially in the red zone, then I'm going to have to give you help. And if I give you help, that means there's additional people back in the secondary, and you should get numbers up front to run against.
One of the, Richard Dixon certainly knows something about playing the tight end position. He says, the touchdown, Green did a lot of things wrong. It's not a very good route, but there he is at 6'7", and good luck trying to guard him. So we'll certainly keep an eye on him today. We'll take a break here. We'll come back. We'll flip sides of the football. We are at Rouse's Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
98.1.
Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Skull Session. Defense. Presented by Edward Jones. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Now from the LSU Sports Radio Network, here's Gordy Rush.
Give you an update from Columbia. Auburn leads Missouri 17-3. Brady Cook went out of this game for Missouri very early. He has not returned. Drew Pine, the former Notre Dame quarterback, is at the controls for Missouri. The other game going on in the Southeastern Conference right now, South Carolina 32-3 lead in Norman at the half over Oklahoma. Didn't expect that kind of a blowout in that game. Gordy, LSU will look at quarterback Talon Green. He had a knee injury, but he was back to practice in the middle of the week. We don't know if he'll be compromised at all. He's 6'6", he's 230 pounds, and he is a scary dude when he gets out of the pocket. He'll make a big play, he'll make a bad play. When you look at defensing Green, what comes to mind?
Well, I mean, his size, a little bit of some of the issues you had with South Carolina. And that you have a mobile quarterback, and then you have two backs to run with him, Jackson, the Utah transfer, and then Zero, the young freshman running back, is a load. He's a bowling ball. He's like a mini little Hayward. And so the physicality that they can bring, they finally got the offensive line, I think, playing better. They had their struggles, and they got dominated in Dallas in the second half by really good Texas A&M front seven. But that's what Green is, He gets streaky. I think he had 400 yards passing in that one of the opening games where they are up in Stillwater against Oklahoma State, where they really should have put Oklahoma State away, allowed them to come back, and they lost that game in overtime. And, there have been times like against A&M when they've got to a little bit better competition that he's been erratic and inconsistent.
The word that comes to my mind is wide. Get wide. His ability once he gets out the pocket is so much scarier than some of the passes he's delivered from the pocket. Gordy, I'm thinking about that game where the Saints played Tampa in Spencer Rattler's first start 2 Sundays ago, and the first half, they let him get outside. They let him operate. They let him get comfortable. Second half, they widen. They keep contained, and he really struggled. And I'm thinking with Talon Green, I want to be wide. I do not want this guy to get outside of contain because that's where he can really hurt me.
Yeah, I'm with you. Look, I think that you need to continue defensively. What you're doing is that being aggressive and wreaking havoc, and that's what the way that Brian Kelly's described it. And I think when they're playing downhill and getting after him, his knee's not 100%, right? He wants to get outside. That's where he's effective. And then you really want to get to these big backs before they've got going. Other than Armstrong, the receiver, who's 6'2", he's good. Or maybe he's a little bit bigger than that, but he's a good-sized receiver. He's an axe that doesn't have electric speed, but he does have athleticism. I think DB-wise, there's nobody that really scares you, per se, in the passing game. The tight end is a nice player, but you should be in good shape there. So that means, can they get after this Arkansas front? I mentioned offensive line's playing a little bit better, but the way that LSU's been playing defensively, they're all on the same page in that front seven, and they've been very disruptive. They need to continue that tonight.
Looked like they were all on the same page in the back end as well, Gordy, because Brian Kelly promised before the Ole Miss game, he says, we're going to shorten our rotations in the secondary, particularly at safety, and they went with the vets. It was Stamps and Alexander, who Alexander had a phenomenal game at the corners. It was Ryan and Gilbert at the safeties, and it was Burns at the star, which I think, Gordy, is exactly how they would have started in the opener against USC had Alexander not been hurt. So you tell me if the communication was better back there, because after Harris's bust on the first drive of the game where he got behind everybody, they looked pretty sound back there.
Yeah, in the fourth down. Like that was kind of a freaky thing. I was up in the booth, had to do pregame because Jake was coming in from Dallas, and we went through the debrief before I got up there, and when they told us that Sage Ryan was going to wear the green dot, it meant a lot to me, meaning that's the one that's communicating with the coaches and getting the play and getting everything lined up. And the communication back there with some of the young guys has been sporadic, and you can't make a mistake back there if you're not all on the same page. The long run that Sellers had at South Carolina, right? That's a result of that, or what Rocket Sanders had. When you have big explosive plays, generally, and you have a break on the back end, it is a communication or execution thing. Gilbert, as Coach Kelly said, was excellent in run support and tackling, and then Ryan got him lined up. And so, again, it's a huge part of it. You're playing Bobby Petrino. He's always creative. He's always doing something different. It's really hard to get tendencies with him. And he's seen all this film, and you got one episode and one piece of film on Ole Miss where this defense was solid. He's going to give you a lot of eye candy, move things around, and see if he can't get you confused, bust the coverage, and pop one of those run plays. And, of course, a play-action pass where he's able to take advantage of potentially the middle of the football field. That's where everybody has really attacked us in the passing game.
Well, we've known Bobby Petrino since he was cussing out Les Miles at Thanksgiving. So how's he different? What's the 2024 version of Bobby Petrino?
Well, I have no idea, and we'll see a lot of Bobby Petrino. I'm sure.
I meant the offense. I meant the offense, Gordy, not the other stuff.
Oh, I thought you were asking about it.
No.
Does he still ride motorcycles?
Up here now?
Yeah.
Okay.
How does the offense look? It's compared to some of the stuff he's done in the past.
There were times here that he's had better quarterback play. I mean, this takes me back to when he had McFadden and some of those backs and what I think he's trying to get done. And, I mean, that's where he's always been really, really effective to me. He's been able to adapt. There's times at Louisville where they spread the throw through the football, and they were absolutely dangerous. But when he has a mobile quarterback, he has Lamar Jackson, he has the backs that I think what they're trying to build here with the two big boys that they got, Jackson from Utah. And I don't have my flip in front of me. Number 0 is the true freshman.
Rodney Hill, maybe? No, that's the other guy.
No, Hill's out for this game.
That's right.
Out for this game.
Yeah.
You won't miss him. He's a big back. These are the two guys, and it's enough to pound the football.
That's Russell. Braylon Russell.
That's right. Russell. Braylon Russell. He is a load. He's impressive, and I think that's what he's going to try to. I think they're one of the top teams in this. One of the top 5 in this conference in running. One of the top 5 in time of possession. They're going to play keep away.
You've been up there a number of times, and you've been up there since yesterday. The prevailing opinion is always Arkansas values this game more than LSU. I don't know if that's true, but that was a big-time atmosphere that they had against Tennessee, and I would imagine that it's going to be another one of those games. This is almost never an easy game for LSU, and they're in a difficult spot coming off the overtime game, and Arkansas coming off the bye. So you tell me, is that the vibe this game's got? That Arkansas, this is one that they circle?
Well, yeah, it's a big game atmosphere. It's not one of their biggest rivalry games. Look, I think the two things made this really hard for LSU. It's who they played the week before, and for years it was Alabama, right? And coming up here, it was always tough to balance and play at the same level of intensity. Obviously, this was the Ole Miss game, and we know that that's a big game, so that kind of checks the box. What I do like is that we're playing in October, not November.
Yes.
Because I can't tell you how many times. I mean, last year I had I don't drink coffee. I had a thing of hot coffee walking onto the field, and some staffer had a hose and he was pouring water on the ice on the field. And look, I'm from New Orleans. I'm like, I don't think you do that. And then somebody came out and jumped his ass and told him to stop. My point is that how many times have I sat there and watched LSU, the players come dressed out and head to toe in thermal like we're playing in Green Bay and it was 40 degrees, and their kids come out with short sleeve shirts and shorts. Nick Saban talked about it on game day. His first game up here, everybody was wearing the coats, and the combination of, we just played Alabama. Maybe we just beat Alabama. It's Arkansas, and we got to come play in these, in these conditions. Nobody was excited to. It'll be a nice night tonight, right? 60s, 50s, something like that. So that's out of it. So it comes back to, is LSU going to come out and play with some intensity, are they going to come out here and dig themselves a hole like they did at South Carolina? And if you let them hang around like Tennessee, they can beat you. I look at all this film. I think LSU is a better football team on film. The game I circle is that Arkansas struggled to break away from UAB, who Tulane beat by 50 in Birmingham, I think the next week or 2 weeks later. And they played a bunch of redshirt freshman quarterback. I mean, this is Garrett Nussmeier in one of the highest rated passing games in the country. And so they haven't seen anything quite of this level. And so this is a game, I think, if LSU comes to play and play with some intensity, they should get out of here with a W.
Gordy, have a good call and a safe trip back, and we'll talk to you next week from College Station. Thanks a lot.
All right, guys. Take care.
17-6, Auburn leading Missouri. The game is getting in the latter stages of the third quarter right now. And Louisville, who had fallen down 2 touchdowns behind to Miami, busted the kickoff for a touchdown to pull within 31-24, then got a turnover on the first play of Miami's next possession. So they're down in the red zone again, looking at third down. They are a touchdown behind. We'll give you a full update on everything that's going on in college football and some picks for later with Jimmy out when we return from Rouse's. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Jimmy, how's it going?
Good, man.
Good. You all set?
Yeah.
All right,
Yep.
perfect. Hold tight for me.
Okay.
Louisiana Dental Center, local dentists helping local people just like you and me. And of course, for years, proud partners of our beloved LSU Fighting Tigers. Louisiana Dental Center, your dental home team. Go Tigers!
Looking for an exciting career? Guarantee Media is hiring. Go to guaranteemedia.com to see open positions and apply today. Guarantee Media is an equal opportunity employer. Guaranteemedia.com.
Support the arts in Acadiana with Louisiana's oldest craft beer festival. It's Gulf Brew, Saturday, October 19th in downtown Lafayette. Gulf Brew has over 200 brews to sample with live music, arts and crafts, and the family fun zone. There's all you can sip for just $40. VIP exclusive perks for $100 or the designated driver experience for only $10. Tickets available at acadianacenterforthearts.org.
Visit explorelouisiana.com to plan your trip.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Autorlocks, presented by William Crane Allstate Insurance Agency. For auto, home, life insurance in the Baton Rouge and surrounding areas. William Crane Allstate Insurance Agency. Now, here's Jimmy Ott.
And we return here at Rouse's corner of Burbank and Lee. All your tailgating supplies, even if you're tailgating at home, all your beer, your wine, your spirits, ton of ice, the meats section, the chop house, the bakery, Mongolian grill, tons of things that you can get here to enjoy the game with here at Rouse's. Let's bring in Jimmy Odd. Jimmy, good afternoon. How are you?
Good, man. Over here with your boy, Bobby Mahoney. He's wondering where you are, Charlie.
I'll be there tomorrow.
Come on, man. ate a great piece of triple tail with the charred vegetables last night. Nice bottle of wine. It was a beautiful night on the courtyard at Mahoney's. Man.
Well, I tell you what, I'll be there tomorrow. Save me some. I'm looking forward to it. Jimmy, let's talk about what we've seen so far today. Up in Columbia, Auburn's holding an 11-point lead. Brady Cook went out of this game very early. Yeah. It was a non-contact injury. They have not been able to get Luther Burden involved in this game very much. And Auburn, who has been plagued by turnovers all year, finally gets one in their direction, a fumbled punt that turned into a touchdown that they fell on in the end zone. Auburn leading at 17-6, about a minute to go in the third.
Yeah, Charlie, and when Cook went out, the odds shifted. The end game for about 5 to 6 points, from like -3 to plus 2.5. So we always talk about the value we see with Georgia Tech. With Haynes King being out, how much is it from the course starter? But this is a major drop off, from Cook to this guy, and I mean he's just really struggling. I mean, Peyton Thorne finally completed a pass, but I mean, this is the quarterback. The quarterback play in this game is not at a high level. But you tipped me off to it. You got Auburn as one of your 5-pack. I do as not on my 5-pack, but I got them as well. Actually, my biggest play here in the early games, middled a little bit with Missouri, but no. All of a sudden, Auburn's got a little energy to themselves right now. Just Hugh Freeze has had a really nice end around call that we, kind of getting in his thing because. Man, Thorne is just really limited as a passer. So, they're about to attempt a field goal here to go up 14 again with just seconds to go in the third.
Drew Pine is quarterbacking from Missouri. Remember him from his days as starter at Notre Dame. I think that they told the they told the side. I don't know if you got the sound on that game, but they told the sideline reporter that they were going to tape Cook up and he was going to go right back in the game. I think they told a little fib there because he's not back in the game.
Pay attention to what we do, not what we say.
Correct.
In the world of college football coaches and people. But Auburn just misses a chip shot field goal. So Missouri's still in this one. But I think with Pine in the game, it's going to be tough for us. And Auburn gets the big, like you said, the muff punt back in the end zone for a cheap 7 as well.
Very exciting game at Louisville. Now tied at 31. We've seen a lot of big plays in this game. Miami still undefeated. Cam Ward has made some big plays. Louisville's got a kickoff return for a touchdown. It's 31-31, and they're only halfway through the third quarter.
No, would have liked to have the over in that one. I mean, right out the chute, first 4 possessions, each team scored, two scores apiece. And I thought that Miami would be, you and I are on opposite sides of this one. I thought Miami would be kind of reset and gather themselves after the crazy, games of, 8 days again at home on Friday night against Virginia Tech, where the Hail Mary was waved off, and then the 25-point comeback in Berkeley. So I thought they came out focused. What the deal is, Charlie, the Virginia Tech game, the Cal game, and now this one, their defense has given up a lot of points and a lot of yards. We already know that the ACC has had their impact on keeping them alive. Keep in mind, none of the 3 play each other in the regular season. SMU, Clemson, or Miami. But this Miami team, we just didn't know how good they were. It's going to be a hard time to keep them out of the playoff. If the form holds, this is probably going to be the game where they're the lowest favorite. But their defense it's just not. It's suspect. Let's just put it that way. Might look shaping up to be a little bit of a weakness on their part.
All right, just as soon as we say that Missouri going to have a hard time getting back into it with the backup quarterback, Brady Cook has returned with less than a minute to go in the third quarter. This is the first action he's seen since very early in this game, but he's back out there. They targeted Luther Burden on the first play. Didn't get there, but Brady Cook is back in the game for Missouri.
That was a long tape job.
It took
a while.
An hour.
That was a long one, guys.
It took an hour and 45 minutes for the injection to take effect.
Apparently. Apparently. Jimmy, another team that is undefeated. We both thought that this
There
would
they
be
go.
a close.
Missouri,
Okay.
top one.
Okay, well,
20,
You're
you're,
a little ahead.
15,
you're
10,
yeah.
down at the 1.
Okay,
You can hear the crowd in the background.
Yeah, you're ahead of us. Well, another team that's undefeated that we thought would be in for a very tough game today has been anything but. Indiana, 6-0 for the first time since the 1960s, 1967, I believe. This was supposed to be a competitive game with Nebraska, who's 5-1. It is 42-7. It is all Hoosiers, and man, look, at some point we have to consider that this team is for real. I know the schedule hasn't been the toughest, but man, they're doing a number on Big Red today.
All coincidence. I'm sitting next to some Indiana fans, and I'm eavesdropping, and the guy says, "I think I'm about to start believing." So they, man, look, and this Signetti, he's got a lot of confidence. He's got an edge to him, man, and his team is reflecting it because they are taking no prisoners in this game. I love Nebraska in this spot. Keep in mind, Indiana's not only 6-0 straight up, but 6-0 against the spread. The odds makers know they're getting Indiana action. And I thought the line was inflated. I thought it should be about 3. It's at 6.5. But in any chance that Nebraska had to get back into the game, down 28-7, inside the 10, they throw a 90-yard interception return, set up a touchdown, basically a 100-yard pick six. And that just drove it. But this is setting up. Now you got Indiana, Ohio State, a real unbelievable. But, man, Rourke is clearly better than Raiola for Nebraska. I mean, that's just a big – Raiola, as a freshman, we thought he would be pretty good. But he's got a lot of seasoning before he could be a trusted quarterback in this league.
Last game we'll talk about from the early window. South Carolina with a 32-3 lead in Norman at halftime. Oklahoma has changed quarterbacks. Jackson Arnold goes back out there. The significance of that is this burns his red shirt. Yep. So if they had any ideas of holding him, or he did, that's out the window. But it hasn't helped. South Carolina is all over the Sooners. They got drilled last week by Texas. This is another thing. That's one thing. You lose to Texas and Dallas. They're getting embarrassed by South Carolina in Norman.
Again, they were flat out lucky to win the Auburn game, getting out first down 27-11. The quarterback, I have not been a fan. We discussed it before. I think he switched by now. He just can't throw. And, I mean, the first play from scrimmage, boom, a bad interception in South Carolina, cashes it in. The schedule is unforgiving as well. I mean, Oklahoma, and keep in mind, a few months ago, I'm saying, so why do they give this long-term extension as raised to Venables? Okay.
Yeah, I didn't get that one.
Nobody was going to come and scoop him up from you. I mean, so this is about. I think they're headed for a losing season, Charlie. It could be 5-7. That hadn't happened in a long time in Norman.
You got to go back to the late '90s when Blake was there. The only sure win they've got left on their schedule is Maine. Everything else, they go to Ole Miss, they go to Missouri, they go to LSU, and Alabama goes there. I think you're right on with that one. Speaking of Alabama and Tennessee go at 2:30. What say you? Both these teams have struggled of late.
Well, I like Alabama, the edge at quarterback. Both are really good athletes, but Milroe is 1 year further along in his development. We don't know if Nico is going to make that development, but the three SEC games, he has not thrown for 200 yards. The NC State game, he barely threw for 200, and in 2 interceptions as well. But the biggest thing is NC State is way worse than we thought coming into the year. Grayson McCall has given him very little. He's out for the year now. But we just overvalued the odds makers, us, the pollsters, on how impressive that NC State win was. NC State's not good. And so Tennessee, then that's a hard place to play when they get 105,000 in there. It's tough, Charlie. I don't know who to go with as far as, picking a side on this one. I love Alabama's form advantage at quarterback, and I love Tennessee's home field advantage. So it's a pass for me.
The big one tonight in Austin, Texas settling in. I'm showing 4 right now against Georgia. That's where game day is, a matchup of top 5 teams.
Georgia's in a desperate spot. They were left out of the playoff last year. I think they, they're going to, they're going to come out very focused. I just don't know if they're good enough. When you talk about, I just don't know. And I don't know how good Texas is as well. We know that Georgia's defense in their running game is not what it usually is, and that's what Kirby wants to do. We've seen enough of that. Now, look, granted, it's tough to maintain an elite level of defense like they have for like the past 4 or 5 years. But down here at Beau Rivage, I mean, they're loaded down with Georgia tickets because we're in Georgia country. But nationally, it is all. It's loaded down with Georgia. It's all Texas tickets around the country. So a little bit split there. We're going to find out about Texas, and we're going to find out about Georgia because, I mean, Texas has played nobody to this point. So, but they sure look good. They can't control who's on their schedule. So, and they appear to be one of the most complete teams. I'm just wondering, this big stage for Texas against a desperate, talented team like Georgia. I mean, there's no respect. They didn't respect this. It actually applies to this one being an underdog for the first time in 50 games for Georgia. So I think Georgia will stay close.
Missouri punches it in. Brady Cook runs in the 2-point conversion. He looks miraculously recovered here. 17-14 early fourth quarter in Columbia. All right, Jimmy, LSU, a short favorite here tonight in Arkansas. Hogs are coming off the off week. All the spot things that favored LSU a week ago are in Arkansas's favor, and this has traditionally been a tough out for LSU. The last 3 games they have won there by a total of 13 points. The Tigers are a short 2.5-point favorite here.
As much emotion as you have from one week, you got that much left. The following week, it's a tough spot for LSU. As tough as it gets, Arkansas had a week to kind of digest and just kind of regain their focus. I think they saw, they all watched LSU and Ole Miss, and you got to be. Let's face it, that performance by LSU has their attention. I think LSU's going to have a tough day. They're capable of winning it, but, man, this is just too tough of a spot for me, though. I think it's, if I had to play it, I would take Arkansas plus the point.
Who's bringing us Auto Locks?
My buddies over at William Crane Allstate Insurance. So, man, they're very aggressive in providing the most competitive rate for both auto and home. And speaking of auto and home, our bundles over at Allstate can you package together, and I'll save you, great coverage with great rates as well. They're basically a concierge service for all your insurance needs at Allstate. So William Crane at Allstate Insurance, agent 421-3133, 421-3133.
All right, we'll see you down at Beau Rivage for Football Sunday tomorrow morning at 10. Have a good one.
Okay, Charles, thank you.
All right, Auburn with the football back. Louisville with the drive into Miami territory in the third quarter. That game is a 1-touchdown game. Again, Missouri has pulled within 3. Auburn leading at 17-14. Those are the close games that we're monitoring here in the early window. Some of the other ones have gotten out of hand.
Most of the other ones.
Yeah, we'll take a break. Jim Nagy from the Senior Bowl is with us next. He'll break down Arkansas from Rouse's. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
At Atmos Energy, our smart choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. there are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Eagle 98.1.
Eagle 98.1 Game Day Scouting Report, presented by Demco, providing safe, reliable, and competitively priced energy services to co-op members since 1938.
Welcome back in. Eagle 98.1 Game Day rolls on from the Rouses on Burbank and Lee, continuing to count you down. 6 o'clock kickoff, LSU and Arkansas. The Tigers coming off of the massive win against Ole Miss. And, well, everyone's expecting a tight one here with the Hogs. The last 4 games decided by 3 points, all of them. Let's get a closer look at Arkansas. Welcoming the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl. That is Jim Nagy. He's on Twitter at Jim Nagy _SB. With us every week for the Scouting Report. Jim, appreciate the time as always. How are you?
Yeah, great, Matt. That was a good win last week.
That was exhilarating. It took as big as the buildup was. It took a little bit for it to come down as well. But all focuses middle of the week, Jim, have been on Arkansas, and that's where we look now. Let's start offensively with the Hogs, if we could, and start with the skill positions. Kind of want to begin with Andrew Armstrong. Nothing's really been able to stop him so far this year, even injury. This is a guy that's missed multiple games, and he's still the leading receiver for Arkansas, over 500 yards, big target. What have you seen from Armstrong?
Yeah, he's like you said, he's a big target. He's 6'3.5". He's got almost 33-inch arms, so he's got a huge catch radius, and they target this guy a bunch. He's what scouts call like a high-volume producer. I mean, they go to this guy. The guy who we think is probably a little more talented for the next level is a guy named Isaac Tesla, who was a Division II All-American a couple years ago at a small school called Hillsdale College in Michigan. And last year, the SEC was a little too big for him. Just watching it, he struggled with the transition. But, man, when they've thrown him the ball this year, he's made some big-time plays for them. Again, another big receiver, 6'4", 220 pounds, plays on every special team. So the NFL is really probably more intrigued by Tesla than they are Armstrong, even though if you just looked at the stat sheet, you would think Armstrong is the guy for the league. But they're both 2 big targets. They're going to be tough to cover.
So what changed for Tesla? Because I remember talking about him last year with you when we were previewing the Arkansas game, and you kind of just mentioned the SEC might have been too big for him. I mean, is it just that? Is that he had another year, or is there a noticeable difference in his game?
Yeah, there's a noticeable difference in his game because he just looks more confident. I mean, the guy didn't look like he knew what he was really doing running routes. The speed of the game was probably obviously way different than at the Division II level. And they play him in the slot. You know, he's a big slot receiver, and a lot's going on inside there. I mean, that's a hard position to play, just because you're sorting out linebackers, you're sorting out the third level, and where to sit down and all those things. It takes a lot of savvy to play in there. And if you're not used to the speed of the game in the SEC, which he clearly didn't look like he was, you're just not going to look comfortable. And he didn't look comfortable. Now it's night and day difference. I mean, the guy knows where he's going. He's making a bunch of one-handed catches. Again, I don't understand why they're not getting him the ball more. He was one of our stock up players of the week a couple weeks ago. And as soon as we posted it on social media, I had 4 or 5 NFL, teams that text me, and they're like, "Man, why quit posting about our sleepers?" Like they don't know what's going on. They don't know what's going on either, because this is a guy that they should be targeting a lot. And it seems like all those balls are going Armstrong's way.
Yeah, only 9 receptions so far on the season for Tesla, but 23 yards per reception. So speaks to what you're saying. We'll see if there is a bit of a breakout for him against LSU. In the backfield, Jaquindon Jackson has been phenomenal for Arkansas. It seems like Arkansas just churns out running backs. You always know the Hogs are going to have a good ground game. Now in his senior year, Jaquindon Jackson, what kind of jumps have you seen from him so far?
Yeah, he's another guy that's made a really nice jump, and he's got one of the cooler backstories of any player in this year's draft class. First of all, he's a big back. I mean, this guy's a shade under 6'2". He's 235 pounds. He was a big-time high school quarterback in the state of Texas, won a couple state titles, out of high school, signed with the Longhorns, then got beat out at quarterback, ended up transferring to Utah, played running back at Utah the last couple of years, and now he's in the SEC. He's a big, smooth running, tough guy to get on the ground when you get him in space. Like he doesn't run he doesn't run as powerful as you would expect a guy 6'2", 235 pounds. Like he's not a banger. He's just a really smooth, fluid athlete that when they get him involved in the pass game and get him out in space, like he's a really cool player. So he's had a good year for those guys. He's definitely he's made himself a draftable player. You never know where running backs are going to go these days. Yeah. The league doesn't want to take those guys up high, but he's the guy that's going to play on Sundays for sure.
Is there maybe a comp to a past Arkansas running back that you could provide for him? Because he sounds like a pretty unique player.
Yeah, he is unique. Yeah, that's why it's hard to comp him. And they've had a lot of, going back to Darren McFadden, Felix Jones, and all those guys. It seems like they always have a guy in the backfield, but no, he's pretty unique. He's a pretty unique athlete for that size. Not many guys move as easily as he does.
Yeah. Well, look, Sam Pittman's the head coach of the Razorbacks. That means offensive line. So we have to get at least one offensive lineman into this conversation. Transfer from San Jose State, Fernando Carmona Jr. has been turning some heads up front for Arkansas.
Yeah, he plays left tackle for him. He's probably going to play both at the next level. He projects as an NFL backup level player, but that's a good get. If you go out in the portal and you get a guy that's going to get drafted on the offensive line, you've done a good job in the portal. So to get a guy from the Mountain West Conference to come out and start in the SEC was a nice hit for those guys. I think he's going to be a backup tackle guard when he gets to the NFL. But that's been a nice addition for them.
Jim, you watch obviously a lot of tape. In looking at this Arkansas offense kind of as a whole with Bobby Petrino running the show again, is there one noticeable difference you see in their performance as opposed to years past as Pittman tried to replace a guy like Kendall Briles? What has Bobby Petrino kind of brought back to the Hogs?
I think balance. They're tough to defend because they can hurt you in a lot of different ways, and Bobby does a good job, kind of looking at the opponent and exposing the weaknesses on an opposing defense. And we didn't talk about the quarterback.
Yeah.
It sounds like for me when I talk to the people at Arkansas that he's going to be coming back to school. Taylon Green's going to go back for another year, but he transferred in from Boise. That's another. They've done a nice job in the portal. Like Taylon Green's been a good addition for them after the KJ Jefferson years. Obviously, very different players. He's a very different player than KJ, but I think Bobby Petrino's done a nice job using him and his skill set and his ability to run the football with a lot of the design run stuff, which they did in the past with KJ Jefferson. It just looks different because Taylon's more of a speed quarterback, and we all know KJ was like a fullback running the football. Yeah. So this version of this team, because of Taylon and because of Bobby Petrino, will probably look a little different to LSU fans than the version they've seen in the past.
Talking with Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl. You can get him on Twitter at JimNagy_SB. And a scouting report on Arkansas. Let's flip sides of the ball. We'll start with a name that's very familiar to people around LSU, and that is Landon Jackson coming off the edge. Of course, a one-time LSU, not just commit, one-time LSU player, transferred over to Arkansas and has really started to make a name for himself up in Fayetteville.
Yeah, he's gotten better every year. He really has. Just watching this guy over the course of his college career, it's been fun to watch because he just keeps building on it. Every single year he gets better and better. He's one of the best defensive players in this year's draft. I know Tigers fans don't want to hear that. Especially just envisioning what that front would look like with Savion Jones and Braden Swinson, and then if Landon were with that group. But no, he's the cool thing about him, he's really versatile. You can line him up anywhere from like a 3 technique all the way you can stand him up out wide. He's a really unique player. He plays really hard. He's long. He's got power. He's got good instincts. He can find the football. So, he can get after the quarterback. He can hold up on rundowns. He's an all around really good defensive lineman. He's got versatility and he can play run and pass. So he's again, I don't know where he's going to go in the first round, but I do think when it's all said and done, by the time we get to April, Landon Jackson's going to be a first-round pick.
How about that, man? That look, of course, you'd love to still have him in purple and gold, but that's cool to see the journey for a guy like that. I mean, that's the development is obviously always awesome to watch. Jim, one more, just maybe a quick thought on an interior guy on the defensive line there, and Eric Gregory. I mean, I look at this guy; he's massive, but he's also getting to the quarterback as well, which sometimes you don't always see there from the middle.
Yeah, I don't know if Eric Gregory's in his 5th year or 6th year. I feel like he's been on our Senior Bowl board here for about 5 years. But no, he's another one. The guy's 6'3", he's 300 pounds. He's got some length to him. He's got 33-inch arms, which all the NFL teams are looking for. He's got some versatility as well, not as much as Landon, and it's not all the way out to the edge. It's more like nose tackle, defensive tackle flexibility. But you're right. I mean, that's where he's made some money this year, which – last year, if you did Eric Gregory, you watched his tape, you thought he's more of a rundowns player, but he is getting after the quarterback a little more this year, so you're seeing that. So he's going to be again, he's a guy that projects as a backup in the NFL, but he is getting drafted, and I do think he's going to be a guy that plays in the league. So that gives you, now you're going up against a couple NFL defensive linemen tonight. So that's, you don't get that with every team in the SEC to have a couple legit NFL dudes to have to block, and Arkansas gives you that.
LSU and Arkansas, it is rarely boring when the Tigers and the Hogs get together. Expecting more of the same here tonight. Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl, with our scouting report. Jim, we appreciate the time as always. Thank you, and we'll do it again.
All right, Matt. Enjoy the game.
Absolutely. We'll grab a break, come back with more from Rouse's on Burbank and Lee. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold.
98.1.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA 21-2681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Eagle 98.1. WDGL and HD1 Baton Rouge. The Alumni Hall College Football Scoreboard. Alumni Hall, your ultimate Tigers shopping destination.
All right, we start in Columbia, Missouri, where Auburn holds a 17-14 lead with just under 7 minutes to go. Brady Cook, the starting quarterback from Missouri, went out of this game on the first drive, did not return until the final minute of the third quarter, but he led a touchdown drive to get Missouri within 3. Missouri just got the ball back from Auburn. They'll have to start this drive deep in their own territory, however, at their own 2-yard line. Peyton Thorne has thrown a touchdown pass for Auburn. Auburn has also recovered a muffed punt in the end zone for a score. Miami has just scored again. Cam Ward has thrown 4 touchdown passes. The Hurricanes lead 44-38. Here comes the extra point. The extra point is good, so make it 45-38. Miami over Louisville. Still a ton of time to go in this game, 11-17. Again, Ward has thrown 4 touchdown passes for Miami. Louisville has a kickoff return for a touchdown among their 38 points. Number 10, Clemson leads Virginia 41-17. 3 minutes to go there. Cade Klubnik has thrown a couple of touchdown passes for Clemson. Number 16, Indiana. Going to have to start taking the Hoosiers more seriously. They're 6-0, and they are on their way to 7-0. They are leading Nebraska 49-7 with 9 minutes to go in the game. They have picked the freshman Areola twice for Nebraska, and it has been all Hoosiers. They're on their way to 7-0. Number 23, Army. They're on their way to 7-0. They are a 38-20 leader with 6 minutes to go against East Carolina, and they're about to punch it in again inside the East Carolina 5-yard line. Army looking to go to 7-0 overall and 6-0 in American Conference play. Wisconsin, this game has just gone final. Now they have beaten Northwestern 23-3. UCLA leads Rutgers 35-25 with about 4 minutes to go in Piscataway. Cincinnati leads Arizona State 24-14. 2 minutes to go at the game at Cincinnati. Wake Forest leads UConn 23-20. They have the football with 2:13 to go up in Stores. UL Lafayette and Coastal Carolina, they were tied. Now UL Lafayette has kicked a field goal. So let's make it 27-24 Cajuns with 8 minutes to go in regulation. South Carolina leads Oklahoma 32-9 with 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. Jackson Arnold has come in for Oklahoma at quarterback. That will burn his red shirt. Eastern Michigan leads Central Michigan 13-0 in the second quarter, and Temple leads Tulsa 10-0 also in the second quarter. We're about 20 minutes and change away from the kick in the 2:30 window. Number 7 Alabama at number 11 Tennessee, the Tide a 3-point favorite in this annual clash. Number 12 Notre Dame is at Georgia Tech. Haynes King, the starting quarterback for Georgia Tech, is out today with an injury. Number 24, Michigan, is at number 22, Illinois. Charlotte is at Navy. Navy is also, like Army, undefeated. They are 5-0 on the season. NC State's at Cal. Conference game. Houston is at Kansas. Kansas is 1-5, Musso. They have led in all in the fourth quarter of all 5 of their losses. See if they can get their second win.
That's
today.
rough. Good Lord, that's rough.
Hawaii and Washington State at 2:30. Texas State and Old Dominion, Ohio, and Miami of Ohio. Kent State and Bowling Green. When does the MAC start playing in the middle of the week?
November.
November, yeah. We're getting close to that. Western Michigan at Buffalo. Toledo at Northern Illinois. UAB at South Florida. Florida Atlantic at Texas San Antonio. Rice is at Tulane. USC is at Maryland, 3 o'clock kickoff for that one from College Park. Colorado is at Arizona, also a 3 o'clock kickoff from Tucson. Colorado 4-2 on the season, riding a little bit of momentum right now with a couple of nice wins. Baylor is at Texas Tech. Texas Tech, a very quiet 5-1 and 3-0 in Big 12 play. New Mexico is at Utah State. Wyoming at San Jose State. James Madison is at Georgia Southern. 3:15 kick on the SEC Network. Number 14, Texas A&M is at Mississippi State. Aggies are 3-touchdown favorites in this one. They've got LSU next week. Mississippi State was within shouting distance, so shall we say, of Georgia a week
Late
ago.
comeback.
It's a tough go. Tough go for Levy in his first year in Starkville. They are 1-5. 6 o'clock kickoff for Ball State at Vanderbilt. Well, we never get to say this. Vandy in a look-ahead spot. They're a little bit coming off the big win. They got Texas next week. Ball State, the sandwich spot for Vandy. Also 6 o'clock kick for Arkansas State at Southern Miss. 6:30 for the big one from Austin, number 5 Georgia, and number 1 Texas. Central Florida is at number 9 Iowa State, number 17 Kansas State at West Virginia. Iowa's at Michigan State. North Texas at Memphis. Kentucky is at Florida. Interesting game. The Wildcats a small favorite in Gainesville. That's a 6:45 kickoff on the SEC Network. Late games, number 21 SMU is at Stanford. Colorado State's at Air Force. UNLV's at Oregon State. And TCU is at Utah. And that is your college football scoreboard. Missouri threw an interception. Auburn has the ball on the Missouri 40, but they're looking at 3rd down and long. 4:42 to go in that game. Auburn leading at 17-14. And we're brought to you by Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com. You know, for all your tailgating, get out and get you some Supreme Rice and the new parboiled rice, which is about as close as you're going to get to restaurant quality rice. You can pick that up now here at Rouse's and wherever you buy rice. The Louisiana farmers since the 1930s have been growing, milling, and processing Supreme Rice down in southwest Louisiana. So support our Louisiana farmers. They are part of the Climate Smart program. Reduces methane emissions and promotes water conservation so future generations of Louisiana farmers can enjoy the same benefits. For more information and some great recipes, go to the website at SupremeRice.com. Break it here from Rouse's Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques, Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Recruiting with Shay Dixon. Recruiting 3 Sports. Presented by Ralph's Market. Ralph's Market, where quality and customer service are a family tradition.
And we bring in Shay from On 3. Shay, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Charlie?
Oh, just fine here, watching the end of the early games. Let's get everybody caught up. It was a big recruiting weekend for LSU with the Ole Miss game last week. So tell us the big takeaways from that weekend.
Yeah, I guess you got to start with a commitment from Jacob Bradford here in town at Catholic High. He's a 4-star safety on the On3 industry rankings, and gives them safety number 3 in this class of seniors. So as we talk about rebuilding that DB room, they've got 3 pretty good corners, and now they've got 3 pretty good safeties. And Bradford gets on board. He had been offered before the season, his senior season at Catholic High, but they had pushed for him. He had been committed, like a number of guys in Louisiana, to Houston to Willie Fritz and that staff that had come over from Tulane. But ultimately, the offer comes to stay home for college, and they add him. And look, I think this fits right in line with what we've seen Frank Wilson and Brian Kelly and the staff do with the approach of Louisiana, East Texas, border states like Arkansas, which they have the number 1 player from, Mississippi, which they've landed a number of players from both a year ago and now in this class committed. So sticking to guys who are, trusted around these parts as high-quality players who, even if they have to sit for a little bit to develop, they're not going to bolt in the portal, given that kind of already closer to home.
Shay, I like it when you say around these parts. From around these parts, you want to come play football with those Tigers, man. That's like that phrase, Shay. That's well done.
Around these parts, I'm told, in LSU's perspective, would be anywhere within a 6 to 7 hour driving range. So around these parts could be Dallas.
Pensacola to Houston, right, along I-10. Shay, to that end, let's talk about potential flip candidates. We're getting close to that time. We're about 6 weeks away from signing day, a little over 6 weeks, and it's getting to that time where people are trying to flip. Anybody you got your eye on, or coming or going?
I think that they hosted this past weekend for that Ole Miss game, which was just an incredible environment, obviously, and big win for guys to see in person. They hear all about Tiger Stadium, but even if they've been here before, that one was special. So they had Caleb Cunningham, who's a 5-star number 2 receiver in the country. He's committed to Bama on campus. They had Anquan Fagans, a top 5 safety, who's committed to Auburn on campus. And I believe they had a couple of more. I might be skipping over some other guys. But I also think you put that date range in there of we're 6 weeks away. Like, it's not February signing day anymore. And even the early signing period, that was December 18th to 20th. Now it's the 3rd. So guys are kind of locked into high school football season, and that runs up, if you're good, right into the playoffs. And all of a sudden you look up and it is that first week of December when you're signing these financial aid agreements and scholarship papers. So for me, I think a lot of the guys that would have made moves have, and we've seen LSU flip guys. By that same token, to answer the other part of your question, and maybe the more important part, do they hold on to everybody? I think they do, and that starts at the top with Bryce Underwood, who, despite any buzz that might be out there about Michigan, we've never seen one bit of traction. I'll even note that Michigan had a bye week where you send all the coaches on the road, and they did not stop by Belleville High once. So they've got their quarterback commit. No one's going to be shocked if they go to the portal, and I don't think that at this point anyone's going to be surprised if Bryce Underwood and these other 5 stars like DJ Pickett and Harlan Berry all stick with LSU.
You seem like you're doing pretty much a weekly update on Jakeem Stewart, so I'll ask you for my weekly update on Jakeem Stewart.
Yeah, well, we've got stuff to talk about now. Before we were just playing the waiting game of are we reclassifying here or not? But he did reclassify, and he confirmed that, look, I'm signing somewhere in December, and I am enrolling somewhere in January. So he will very quickly be into a team's building and practicing this spring. I still have LSU up front, but the most recent update would be as he preps for this LSU-Bama visit in a few weeks that he's going to make, that you look at this past weekend, he was at the Oregon-Ohio State game at Oregon, where I guess that was about the only environment that matched what LSU and Ole Miss had in terms of great game that came down to the wire, and obviously fans rushed the field, all of that. Oregon's a major player here, Charlie. I think that if he leaves Louisiana, I just think Oregon's so far from home. I think that Ohio State would be the team to keep an eye on here, who's been very consistent from the start recruiting him. Not that Dan Lanning and them have not, but still for me, LSU's got the official visit coming. They've got the game visit coming, and they've put in so much work over the years. And I'm still not at any point where I'm betting against Frank Wilson in New Orleans for a guy he's kind of sunk his teeth in here for a bid on. So never say never. This could obviously go a number of ways still. I firmly believe that. But if I had to pick, which I'll give you a pick, I'm picking LSU still.
I got to ask this question, okay? And I don't know anything about this young man's, academic, portfolio at all. But how do you just decide in October of your junior year that you're going to graduate in December of your senior year and go to college in January of your junior year? Shay, I made decent grades in high school. I couldn't go there at Thanksgiving of my junior year and say, hey, you know what, I'm out of here next month. How does that happen?
I guess he did load up on enough courses. I was the one who thought that he would reclassify, but would just finish out a whole nother year of high school. And look, he may. We'll obviously have to see if he can get through all of the coursework. But my guess there is that as you line up all the credits you need to go to whatever college it might be, that he's probably carrying a good amount of credit hours, and then he'll have some intercession, and then he'll be able to get in from there if he indeed is going to be on campus in January. But, yeah, Charlie, I'm with you. I couldn't tell you what my GPA was. It's been that long, but even if it hadn't, it wouldn't have been enough to send me off a year early. I also wasn't good at football either, so let's plug that in there.
Right.
That matters.
A year and a half early. I mean, hey, I'm gone. I understand reclassifying in the off season, okay? And you say, listen, I'm going to summer school. I'm going to take a bunch of these courses, and then, I mean, I guess it's legit because nobody's questioning it. But I thought I'd ask a question because it got asked to me. It's like, how can a guy just do that? Well, he's doing it. I guess.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Talked about it. He had talked about it a good bit over the spring and summer about, hey, look, I'm taking some steps towards it. It was just evident that it wasn't going to happen at Aug. Nobody had ever done that at Aug. So the confusion was, all right, well, how's that happening? And then 2 days before the season, he pulls out of Aug and goes to Carr and makes it happen.
All right. What's coming up after the game? What are we watching here on 3?
Well, I said a week ago that after the game we would get some recruit reactions. So it ended up being a good game, and that turned out to work out well. So I'll say the same. We'll catch up with all the guys and see what they thought of the game. Look, Charlie, I think this is a big one, and I say it all the time. Look, recruits aren't paying attention to the ins and outs of every little result of the game, especially in a year when the SEC is wide open. But boy, oh boy, if they can win this game and somehow beat Texas A&M next week, I think it sets up really well for a team that we didn't have these kind of expectations for preseason, or maybe even right now.
Yeah, it's It's going to be fun to watch. We'll see if they can pull it out tonight. It's always a tough game in Fayetteville. Shay, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week when the Tigers are in College Station.
Yep, and your reminder, LSU is still one of the top 3 classes in the country, so all is well in Baton Rouge.
Thank you very much, Shay. We appreciate it. LeBear's time, a kick countdown to kick off about a little over 3.5 hours now. Auburn and Missouri. Missouri's got the ball. They're looking at a 4th down and about 3 or 4 inside of 2 minutes now. 17-14. Auburn is the score in Columbia. We'll take a break from Rouse's, your game day headquarters for tailgating. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
The best kept secret in town is
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. After Further Review on Game Day. After Further Review is heard weekday afternoons at 3 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Now from AFR, here's Matt Moscona.
From right now, Scone, good afternoon. How are you?
Hey, guys. Doing great, thanks.
What's the first thing comes to your mind when you hear LSU Arkansas?
How much Arkansas people care about this and how much LSU people don't. I mean, that's one. And then if you want maybe a 1A handy, it would be that the trip to Little Rock and War Memorial Stadium is quite literally the worst trip in the SEC, maybe in all of college football. The people are awful. The city's terrible. The tailgating on a golf course. There's no lights when the stadium lets out. You play at 1:30. Just absolutely miserable. I hate this game with a passion.
Just would you tell us how you really feel? I mean, I hate that you're holding back here. That
I just hate Arkansas. I hate that they care about this and LSU doesn't. So even when they stink, they play out of their minds, and LSU generally lets down. It's why LSU mostly wins this game. They won 7 of 8, but it's always close just because they care and LSU doesn't. And I love that they got saddled with Missouri now for that stupid Friday 1:30 thing with the fake trophy and the dumb name. So now they can sit there and complain about it, and I can say, hey, idiot, this is what I've been telling you about for 20 years. How you feel now is how LSU people feel, except add 50 years of SEC tradition before you got in the league.
Okay, with all that in mind, does LSU care enough to win this game tonight? Because they're not, like, exactly giant favorites here in this game.
That's the thing that annoys me. And the line's probably right. I mean, each of the last 4 have been decided by exactly 3 points. Look, a week ago, LSU, the situation dramatically favored LSU, but Ole Miss was a better team. And, you know, Ole Miss left the door open and LSU capitalized. The situation's reversed this week. LSU's better than Arkansas. At every spot on the field, they're better than Arkansas. But situation favors Arkansas. LSU's coming off an emotional win. Arkansas's coming off a bye. They're at home, believing. They're actually a pretty good team this year. So I just hope LSU just, man, hold your nose, close your eyes, just hope you get out of there with a win.
At the 6-game mark, fill in the blank here. LSU is better at this and not as good at this.
Yeah, they're better at defensive tackle than we would have thought coming into the season. Remember, that was by Brian Kelly's own admission. Like, the one spot they needed to go address in the portal was defensive tackle, and they got the kid from Grand Valley State. I mean, with respect to Gio Pius as well. But I think Bo Davis has done a remarkable job with the defensive tackles. They're not as good at run blocking. Remember the season opener against SC, Will Campbell saying, we're going to run the football. We're going to get in a fist fight, punch people in the mouth. And they are not a good run blocking team. I mean, I could have heard the argument early in the season where Brian Kelly said, you know, you weren't seeing fair boxes. You know, it's hard to run against a stacked box. And I understand that. But, I mean, last week you saw Ole Miss brought numbers 34% of their snaps, and you still couldn't run the football. Like, you got beat by better players. So as good as this line is at pass blocking, they are not good at run blocking. And I think that's something I and most of us missed on.
We've seen pretty much everything from Garrett Nussmeier. We've seen big plays. We've seen him make some bad decisions. We've seen game-winning drives. Those, you know, throws were as clutch as you can get. Man, I don't ever remember, you know, I don't pay a ton of attention to the weekly SEC Player of the Week awards, but I don't know that I've ever seen one where the guy had, you know, overall counting stats, you know, the completion percentage, all that weren't all that good, but man, the plays he made, you know, got him up to that status. So, where is Garrett Nussmeier in your estimation right now?
Yeah, man. How many people? I'm sure you got them too. The messages last week. Nussmeier plays terrible. His worst game. SEC Player of the Week. Yeah. He's fantastic, man. Even when he plays poorly, he just loads his team up on his back. And I'll tell you what he is. We're going to Drew's house. Sorry. What he is fantastic at is when you have to have the play, he makes it. I mean, think back to the bowl game last year, guys. I mean, you were staring the length of the field where you had to go score a touchdown, and he led the drive. I mean, he just did it again against Ole Miss. He does it when you need points at the end of a half. He just, even when he's not his best, when you have to have the play of the moment, he's just, I think the way that I've described him is he's athletically arrogant. And sometimes that can bite you, but man, that's also why you make that throw on 4th and 5 to Aaron Anderson in the end zone when all you need is 5 yards, and you're throwing to a spot, not to a guy that's open on what's ultimately could be the last play of the game. So he's awesome, man. I mean, he is. I thought he'd be good, guys. He has exceeded every expectation I had because I thought this team would be able to run the ball, and the fact that he has had to do it all. Has been incredible, man. It's hard to say enough about him.
He's going to get some help back at receiver today, obviously, as well. And I know you're fired up about the Trey'Dez Green move, so I kind of wanted to ask you about that. But in the light of, we've all talked about LSU lacking a vertical threat in the passing game. Trey'Dez isn't going to give you that, but the mismatch that he is and creates, is that enough to overcome not having the vertical threat in the passing game? Like, is what he brings enough to help mask that more?
Well, I don't know necessarily because with the vertical passing game, I think we all understand what you're trying to get there is someone to give you a deep threat. And Green obviously isn't going to provide that. But what he gives you is something different than what you have right now. Like Aaron Anderson and Xavion Thomas are the same guy. Kyron Lacey and C.J. Daniels are the same guy. You know, Hilton, the reason we've talked about him all year is because he gives you a different dimension, like Brian Thomas said a year ago, where he could blow the top off the defense. You had to respect it. It's disappointing Shelton Sampson hasn't emerged there, but I am excited about Trey Dez because you don't have anybody that's 6'7", 240 you could put in the slot. I mean, good luck 5'11" nickelback or linebacker trying to cover that. I mean, run 12 yards, turn around, put your hands up and catch the ball, move the stick. So I don't think Green's going to be a 100-yard receiver or anything, but, you know, he had 3 snaps last week, and one of them was a touchdown in the red zone. Can he get 15 snaps, 3 targets for 35 yards? You know, that's significant because that's extending drives, that's getting you key first downs. So I do think he adds a dimension and a mismatch, not just in the red zone, but anywhere on the field. So I am excited to see Trey Dez Green get a little more playing time.
All right, I apologize if you guys have been talking about this 3 hours a day for 8 weeks or something, but who do you like in Texas, Georgia tonight?
Huh? I thought you were going third Saturday in October there, Hanny. I'm not going to lie.
Who cares about that game, man? Who cares?
I like Tennessee, by the way. I like Georgia. I think Phil Steele shared this stat with me and Musso yesterday. The best offense that Texas has faced all year is UTSA, and they're ranked in the 60s. I think Texas is very good. Before the season, I said Georgia, Texas 1-2 in the league, and I thought they'd play 3 times this year, and I still believe that. But I do think Georgia gets them in Austin because I think Georgia's seasoned. And, look, I think it's so easy to focus on that first half against Alabama, and that was just maybe the worst half of football we've seen Georgia play in half a decade. You know, the turnovers were abysmal, and it was just awful. But I do think that Georgia's seasoned. Having been in games like this before, I don't think being on the road will bother them. I like Georgia, man. I think Georgia wins it straight up.
You know, Texas's schedule, you look at it, and at the end of the season, I ran this by Jimmy the other day, see what you guys think. At the end of the season, the combined records of Michigan, Florida, and Oklahoma will be the worst combined record for those 3 programs in the modern era, probably.
Yeah.
That's 3 big brands. That's 3 big-time football programs, and none of them are any good this year. I mean, Michigan's record's okay, but none of them are any good. Those are the teams that, are on Texas's schedule. It's not Texas's fault necessarily, but those teams aren't very good right now, as we're seeing today with Oklahoma.
Even the SEC schedule for Texas, it's almost as if the schedule makers in the league went to Texas and said, "Here, you pick your schedule this year," and it was a complete inverse for Oklahoma. Now, that's some of that is just the way it falls, and that's not always going to be that way. But some teams catch breaks in certain years of the schedule, and others don't. And Texas got, with a very good roster, a very favorable schedule, and they should absolutely be in Atlanta for the SEC championship game. But I do think they lose today.
All right, it's going after the game, whiskey and wine.
Yeah, T-Bob and I will be there. Just pray for me.
Okay. Can T-Bob do the whole show in that dog filter that he was using yesterday? Can we make that happen?
A dog filter?
You didn't see his? He posted a video where he just with the dog filter on Twitter yesterday.
No, you see, I have to spend time with T-Bob on my Saturday, so I try to avoid him Sunday through Friday.
That's fair.
As best I can.
That's fair. All right, have a good broadcast, and we'll talk to you next week when LSU plays A&M.
All right, guys. See you.
Missouri's going to win this game 21-17. They got a kneel on the ball, and then that'll be it against Auburn.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I articulate this properly. Auburn sucks.
Yeah.
Okay. They just
blew the OU game at home, and they blew this game.
There's a say, the good teams, they just find a way to win, and bad teams find a way to lose, and Auburn is a bad football team. They find a way to lose. They had this game in their pocket any number of ways, and they just found a way to. Now, look, Brady Cook coming back in the game.
That was huge.
Well, yeah, and it convinces me that I had picked this game wrong. I thought that Auburn would win this game. but they didn't. But I had it really wrong because Pine couldn't hit a bull in the ass with a handful of sand, and they still managed to win the game, and he had to play 2 quarters. Yeah. So if Cook plays the whole game, Missouri runs them right out of Columbia. They're just not good. They're just not good. Okay, we'll take a break. Let's see what's next. OTB on game day here from Rouse's Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Off the bench on Game Day. Presented by Shell. Shell is the rhythm of Louisiana. Off the Bench is heard weekday mornings at 7 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Now from OTB, here's T-Bob Hebert.
Jake, when it comes to the game this weekend, look, we talked about it yesterday, the intangible issue for LSU, handling success. Yeah. Can they do it? As far as on the field goes, look, we also talk about this, the classic throughout the stats game. Taylon Green is a massive wild card here. I kind of laid out my belief in the defense, and I think this improvement is legitimate. And I think when you have so much tape on good Taylon and bad Taylon, that the staff could put together a plan to maybe make him more bad Taylon. And it has to start, stopping Jaquinta Jackson and running the balls is key in doing that as well. But they did that so good against Ole Miss. I feel pretty good about that. But even if you were to lose that battle and Taylon and company pop off, the reason why I still like LSU to win a close one this weekend is because Arkansas's secondary is awful. Like Garrett Nussmeier, do you agree? Garrett Nussmeier and these LSU wide receivers and Mason Taylor should be able to dominate through the air.
Yeah, and so
a lot of people thought Tennessee would, but also remember, like, Nico right now is going through it.
And Tennessee's receivers may be bad.
And they confused him.
Yeah.
And they switched up what they did, and he wasn't ready for it. And you have to have belief, even though Nussmeier only has 7 career starts, that he would be able to adjust to, whatever they did. Now, I can't imagine them having 2 wholesale changes on their defense in 1 year, not in college football. But, like, that was one of the things that, really helped them out in the Tennessee game. But for the most part, like you said, when you line up and you play, like Oklahoma State thrashed them.
Yeah.
I mean, through the air.
Yeah, through the air. Ollie Gordon didn't do anything.
Gordon didn't do anything. Gordon had, what, 45 yards in the game?
Yeah, he had like 400. Aaron Murray, who y'all should all sub to Snaps, trying to hit 26K by Sunday, guys. Please go to youtube.com/@snaps, CFB_. Just Google Snaps CFB. But Aaron covered him earlier in this year, Arkansas. And so, you get embedded, you watch practice, you study them in depth. And, yeah, he said the secondary was terrible. In terms of adjustments, yes, like maybe that, they've had a bye week, a lot of time to put together a game plan to try to stop Nuss. But what do you do, right? Because I feel like I've seen LSU lose the initial game planning battle a couple of times this year and then come back and win in the end. South Carolina was a very stark example of that, where they had that offense completely stymied at the beginning. In the second half, they could not stop them to save their lives. And even Ole Miss this last week, where they said, okay, look, we're going to play coverage. Make him deal with 8 dropping back there and figure it out. And at first, it looked a little bad, but then in the end, when it mattered most, he got it. So, yeah, you're right. Even though he doesn't have a ton of starting experience, he does have, experience, like age, time, and I would trust him to be able to overcome whatever wrinkles Arkansas is going to throw in and then be able to exploit a bad secondary.
Yeah, and look, South Carolina defense, by the way, I think they're 5th in passing, maybe 4th or 5th in total yards. So they're right there towards the top. And so that's, that defense I actually think is better than this Arkansas defense you're going to face.
Oh, yeah.
2 edge rushers for South Carolina, actually 3 edge rushers for South Carolina, only 1 for Arkansas. But honestly, it's wild that we're sitting here saying this. Edge rushers don't bother me at all, and it doesn't matter who it is.
No. The stats back it up as well, Jake. LSU right now, first in the SEC by far, having only given up 2 sacks on the year. And that's what's facing an Ole Miss defensive front that led the country in sacks coming in. Just facing South Carolina, who, like Jake said, Kyle Kennard leads the SEC in sacks. And now he's half a sack ahead of Braden Swinton, the only player. And we all know about Dylan Stewart, the freshman phenom, talking Hemingway in the middle. I know I'm missing a couple names. Like, yes, they faced an elite pass rush, and yet they have given up the least amount of sacks in the SEC. It's something I was thinking about yesterday where it's like, losing these tackles is not going to be some sort of death knell or anything like that. But it is going to feel bad to remember what it feels like to have to worry about an edge rusher.
Yeah.
Because right now you can really just turn your brain off. In last week's analysis pregame, we said that all week. We're like, yeah, Jared Ivey and them are good, but I'm not, I'm not, whatever. I'm not sweating. We don't need to waste time talking about that. And sure enough, you didn't. How about this? Did you know this? If you filter out FCS games, so FBS only, you should do all stats, in my opinion. You know who's number 1 in the SEC and number 2 in the nation in sacks?
Who's that, T-Bob?
LSU. 21. That's pretty well. So you have 21 sacks. You've given up 2. You want to talk about winning in the trenches, guys? That's winning in the trenches right there. That's how you build a football team and a program over time.
If this was maybe another show, another place, they would have already mentioned it 17 times. But before the season, you, sir, were all over LSU's defensive line and their edge rushers and what they could do. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, no, for sure. We said, they had potential, but I thought it was going to be more like Savion Jones. I didn't see Braden Swinton exploding like this.
Right, but you talked about those sack numbers. We were giving bold takes one day, right before the season. I don't remember what exactly you gave out there, but I remember it being about sacks in the defensive line.
There was I think it was either leading or top 3 in sacks or something,
Yeah.
But it was because it wasn't even I was because I didn't see anything. I wasn't at practice. It's just that they had experience there, and Brian Kelly was telling us the edges are doing awesome. And Kevin Peoples is coaching them awesome. What's interesting to me, I was talking to somebody about this yesterday, it's Can you imagine what it's like for these cats on game day? Because they're used to going against Will Campbell and Emory Jones.
It's true, too.
So all of a sudden, they get to Saturday, and they're like, wait, what? Wait, I can do this, dude. Like, I'm out here getting wins against first-rounders. You think I can't handle your guy? Like, if you're Ole Miss, your backup left tackle, you think I can't handle that guy? Also, you know what's one thing that that these edges do that isn't pass rush that I love is they do a great job of collapsing everything and just if it's a run, just hammering down the tackle or hammering down the pulling guard who's ever coming to get them and again muddying up the middle. And then the thing that just keeps showing up on film and it has every game, and it's getting better and better with more time on task. It's just the overall technique of the defense. I mean, using leverage, keeping guys extended, shedding at the correct time. Remember last year we all used to complain about people just like looking like they had stick 'em on their jerseys. I mean, just getting into these fights with the O-linemen where they would just be hanging out with the O-linemen, like hand slapping.
Yeah.
Here, the O-linemen might as well be irrelevant because they're fully extended, eyes in the backfield, and then just tossing them away when it's time to go make the tackle. Really great technique from the front seven.
Like especially when you talk about how young some of these players are, and even if they're not young players, there's not a lot of experience with some of these players.
Yeah.
And so you're looking at a defensive line, like if you throw Gabe Relaford in there, you throw Ahmad Bro in there, you throw Dominic McKinley, like that's going to be for the next, at least after this, 2 seasons. And so it's a position that really coming into the season, we talked about more than any group on this football team. And now through experience already, you've got a great young core moving forward.
Yes, no, I know. And it's like really exciting to think about, actually, the entire defense for that matter.
Multiple times, LSU's defense either stopped them on 4th down, made them, forced a field goal attempt that they missed, or just gave up 3 points when 7 felt like it was likely.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, they held the rope. Same thing in South Carolina. They kind of held the rope while the offense figured it out and then finished the fight.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales service and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck. your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Opposing Media. Presented by Rev. Rev. Fiber fast internet made in Louisiana.
Eagle 98.1 Game Day. LeBeur's countdown to kickoff 3 hours and 5 minutes. Earlier this week, Matt Moscona sat down with John Neighbors of Inside Arkansas and Locked On to preview the Hogs.
Let me start with what I think is the most important part of this weekend, which is Taylon Green's health, the knee injury against Tennessee 2 Saturdays ago. How is he?
Well, man, that's the thing. Is like he is, from at least Sam Pittman's standard, he's good to go. He wasn't even – I was expecting on the injury report to see a questionable or even a doubtful, but he's not even on it. So if you're believing the injury report, which I never do because Sam Pittman – he's been playing some games with that injury report.
Okay.
I think he's good to go. I really do. I think he's going to be good enough to play. He's going to start. And I know we talked about it, but I believe he's going to be around 80%, maybe 85%. So is that going to be good enough to beat LSU? Well, that's the ultimate question because his legs are a big part of his game, and he did have an injury to his leg in that Tennessee game. But I think overall he's going to be a player that is at least effective in this game for Arkansas, and he is going to be QB1.
How does 85% Taylon Green, let's say that's what he is, how does 85% Taylon Green affect the Arkansas offense?
Well, I would say that it's more impactful than what it would be normally. And the reason I say that is because Taylon Green has done a lot of good things for Arkansas in the offense. I mean, Bobby Petrino, this is the guy he wanted. And Sam Pittman, when he hired Bobby Petrino, says, hey, go get your quarterback. Don't care who it is. Go find him. This one's the one that Bobby Petrino wanted from the get-go. He shows that he's tall. He's 6'6". He's got sheer athleticism. He can do so many different things. But the problem is he's not very accurate with his passing, and he does turn the ball over a bit. That has been a problem. Now it's gotten better. Against Tennessee, he didn't have any touchdown passes, but he completed 70% of his passes, which was unheard of because it's normally been around 50%. So he has improved, but again, his legs are such a big part of his game. It's one of those things, Matt, so strange. If he sits back in the pocket and does his reads and has a clean pocket and makes a throw, it's not very accurate. But when he's on the run and he's having to throw across his body about 50 yards downfield, it's the most perfect, most accurate pass of all time. So it's a weird dynamic. I think that he'll still be somebody that can use his legs, but I'm telling you right now, if LSU takes his rushing attack out of it and makes him throw, it's going to be a long day for the Razorback offense.
What about the other weapons there on offense aside from Green? Who should everybody be keeping an eye on?
I know that before the season started and really in the beginning of the season, Jaquindon Jackson, the running back for Arkansas, he's a beast. He's an absolute beast. He's a transfer from Utah. When he walked in spring ball, I said, that's the dude right there. He's 6'3", 235 pounds, and he's just a very physical back. He has the speed. He has athleticism. He has great vision because he was actually a quarterback coming out of high school. But as much as I love the guy, his problem is that he loves contact, and contact in the SEC can usually lead to getting banged up and injured a little bit. But he's had some issues with that. But honestly, Matt, Andrew Armstrong, the wide receiver for Arkansas, is that dude. He's one of the best skill position players on the team. I think he's an NFL caliber wide receiver. He's made some catches this year that has just been unbelievable. And the problem is that he hasn't had a single touchdown catch. So got to find a way to get him in the end zone. That's been frustrating. But to me, he's the best offensive player on this team. He's the best threat. And even though other teams have known that about Andrew Armstrong, they still have struggled to stop him completely and effectively. So he's definitely the one to watch, as well as Jaquindon Jackson and also Isaiah Satania, the slot receiver. He can make you pay with his speed if he gets the ball in his hand.
John Neighbors is our guest. You can get him on Twitter, X at John Neighbors Show. Hey, what about, you mentioned Bobby Petrino, which is pretty fascinating because I think everybody respects Bobby Petrino as an offensive mind. How has he changed what Arkansas does offensively?
Well, a year ago, the offense was just as pitiful as ever. I mean, it was really, really bad.
Except when they played LSU.
I was about to say, except if when you remember that, and Luke Haas was one of the biggest reasons why that was so successful.
Oh my God!
And the freshman tight end, which he's still playing, but hasn't been very effective this year. But either way, once he went down with an injury, the offense really changed. But what he's done is you can tell the play calling is there. The ability to design and exploit weaknesses from other teams, other defenses is there. The athletes are there. The offensive line's improved. I mean, pretty much every position on the offense has improved from a year ago. But the biggest problem, what's keeping this offense from being great, is the execution on key possessions. And what I mean by that is that Arkansas can go 80 yards down the field and it becomes 4th and 1 from the 12 or from the 20-yard line, and they go for it. They don't get it. They leave with no points. Or they just have to kick a field goal. They are terrible about getting in the end zone. They rank dead last in red zone offense. They rank dead last in short yardage situations. And so they have just not been able to, in those moments that you should, as an offense, have confidence and physicality to just get that extra yard. They have not done a good job of it. It's been very strange, and it's been very frustrating for Arkansas because if they were able to do those a little bit more effectively, you could be looking at a 6-0 team. Yeah. They didn't even do it very well against Tennessee, but the offense is there. Everything's there. It's just lacking the execution. And, hey, if you don't execute, it doesn't matter what you're doing. It's going to be a problem.
So, John, that's where the interesting thing comes as we flip it over to the defensive side for Arkansas. I mean, Oklahoma State's not a very good offense, but they move the ball kind of at will. Now, they did have a pick six in that game. But Arkansas' scoring defense in the SEC has been exceptional. 14 points on the road against Auburn, lost 21-17 to A&M, and then just the 14 points to Josh Heupel's Tennessee offense in that game a couple of Saturdays ago. Why have they been so effective at limiting opponents' scoring?
Well, I'm just going to be honest, man, and I'm not taking anything away from the Razorback defense because they are good and I have been improved, but the offenses they've been going up against aren't exactly world beaters. I mean, the Nussmeier and LSU's offense is going to be the best offense Arkansas has faced this year. In fact, Arkansas faced a couple backup quarterbacks when they faced Auburn and A&M. So you got to play that into consideration. But what's made them so good, though, besides the opponent, honestly, Matt, has been, they don't have a bunch of NFL guys. I mean, they don't have five-star players like LSU has. Landon Jackson, a player who, of course, LSU fans know. He's a guy that I believe will be drafted, an NFL player, maybe a couple other guys. But what makes this defense so effective is, and it sounds cliche, I've never seen a defense play as well together as this defense does. Their communication is incredible. Their ability their scouting reports, the snuffing out of where things are going to go. The rush defense has been as good as you could ask for. And the pass defense is getting a little bit more improved. But one of the big reasons is they've been without, and they will be without again this weekend, their best defensive back in Jalen Braxton. So, no excuses, but that's a big part of it. But either way, they just play really well together. They don't have a bunch of guys that are pros. They just communicate. They try to do different things to mix it up and try to confuse the quarterbacks. I think, again, that's the biggest challenge against Nussmeier because I think he's really good. But they have really been impressive, and they've been the reason why Arkansas has even been in some of those games that they ended up winning, especially against Tennessee a couple weeks ago.
John Neighbors, he's on Twitter at John Neighbors Show, Locked on Razorbacks. Go check it out, Inside Arkansas as well. Where is the defense weakest?
Well, for a while there before the season started and in the beginning, I thought it was linebacker. It's crazy. They lost 6 linebackers, but 5 of them are still playing college football. 5 of them transferred out. The entire room was gone. And they got a Xavion Sort from Georgia and a couple of others. But the linebackers have actually been really, really impressive, all things considered. But to me, the weakest part has been, and they've, again, gotten better, but still not great, has truly been pass rush. They just have not been able to get to the quarterback effectively. And that's going to me, be a causing of a problem because LSU, I don't think there's any I don't even think you had to wash Nussmeier's jersey this year. I mean, the dude has not been hit. And so I think that's going to be a big problem. Their secondary's good, but not great. It does fine. But I just don't think Arkansas is going to be able to get pass rush on LSU. And if they don't and drop some back, that's great. But I don't think the coverage is going to be good enough. So it's a bad matchup defensively for Arkansas, but they've done a really good job stopping the run. They've done a good job of 3 and outs and causing those, and also third down conversions. But it's a matchup that kind of scares me if you're an Arkansas fan, because if they can't get pressure on the quarterback, then it's going to be problematic for them.
LSU the past 2 years, special teams have been problematic They've been better this year. How's Arkansas in the third phase?
Well, in special teams, it's actually been pretty good. The punting's been great for what that's worth. Nobody wants to be great in punting, but I mean, it is nice. It's nice for them. Obviously, no return game is much, even though Isaiah Satania on punt returns has the ability to take to the house. It's always going to come down to the kicking. And what's crazy is that Arkansas's had 2 kickers this year, but only had one playing, and it's been Kyle Ramsey. Well, Kyle Ramsey's not been great. He's hit more than he's missed, but he's good for about 1, maybe 2 misses a game. People have been really frustrated to see that. And he got hurt against Tennessee. Hurt so much that he's actually out for an extended period of time. So they're going with Shipley, who is the backup, the transfer from Hawaii, who was a Lou Groza semifinalist last year. So we don't know. We haven't seen him really kick any field goals. We've seen him kick a couple extra points. So that's going to be another thing to watch where, and I look at it too, Matt, if Arkansas in the first quarter, say, he hits a 42, 44-yard field goal, hey, that confidence is going to be great. It may be all right. But if he goes out there and he ends up shanking a field goal that he should make, I think it's going to kill all of his confidence because this is his time to shine and Arkansas has no other option. So that's going to be something to watch for. I don't know what to expect as far as making field goals, but hey, people think it can't be much worse than what Ramsey was providing, so at least they're going to give him a shot.
John, we all saw the scene against Tennessee a couple of Saturdays ago. We know what it's like when LSU comes there. What are you expecting Saturday night?
I'm telling you right now, Matt, there's been a lot of great games and great atmospheres, maybe not so much here recently just because Arkansas football success has been up and down, mainly down. But I'm telling you, after that Tennessee win and the bye week, it's a night game in Fayetteville. I am not going to compare it to Death Valley because there is no comparison. But if you got LSU fans listening that are going to be up there, you are going to witness Arkansas Razorback Stadium at its best. You know, it's going to be loud. It's going to be crazy. The weather is perfect. It's a high of 75 degrees. It's sunny. It's going to be a wild and crazy atmosphere that's going to be hyped up and energized. It's just a matter of can Arkansas feed upon that, which they have at times and other times they haven't. But, yeah, I expect a crazy scene. Tailgating is going to be electric as well. So I just really hope for a really good game. But if you're coming to Razorback Stadium for the very first time, that's going to be something to lead. At least the atmosphere and the lead up to it's going to be one of the best ones. We'll see if the game is resulting in one of those two. But it's going to be awesome. It's going to be a good old-fashioned Golden Boot, greatest college football rivalry in the history of college football. It's going to be that type of atmosphere, man.
You're going to have your tongue surgically removed from your cheek after that one. He's John Neighbors. Get him on Twitter X at John Neighbors Show, Inside Arkansas, and Locked on Razorbacks. If you want to check out Locked on Razorbacks, get some info on the Hogs before Saturday's game, make sure you go do it. John, always appreciate you, man. We'll talk soon.
All right, appreciate it, guys. Enjoy the game this weekend. We'll talk soon.
At Atmos Energy, our smart choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The best kept secret.
98.1. Brandon Holly here. Siding, windows, even doors. ReliefWindows.com.
Eagle 98.1. WDGL and AC1 Baton Rouge. The dependable Storage College Football Scoreboard. Dependable Storage. Let us store your stuff. DependableStorage.com.
All right, let's start with games in progress. Georgia Tech leads Notre Dame 7-0. They got an interception in the end zone and then drove the length of the field. No Haynes King today for Georgia Tech. Zach Pyron is the quarterback. Musso, is he off to a good start?
9 for 9, 81 yards.
Yep, I would say he's off to a good start. Alabama and Tennessee are scoreless about midway through the first quarter in Knoxville. Third quarter score, Central Michigan leads Eastern Michigan 21-16. Temple leads Tulsa 17-7. Number 22, Illinois leads number 24, Michigan 3-0 in the first quarter. Other first quarter scores. Number 25, Navy leads Charlotte 24-0. Yes, that is a first quarter score. Only thing going better than the Navy right now is the Army, and that's up for debate. Cal leads NC State 7-0 late in the first quarter. Kansas leads Houston 14-0. That game is going to the second quarter, as has Old Dominion and Texas State. ODU leads 7-0. Hawaii leads Washington State 3-0. They are almost at the end of the first quarter there. Miami of Ohio leads Ohio 3-0. Bowling Green leads Kent State 10-3. Buffalo leads Western Michigan 10-7. Northern Illinois leads Toledo 3-0. Those are all first quarter scores. That completes the MAC portion of our scoreboard. UAB leads South Florida 3-0 in the first. Florida Atlantic leads UTSA leads Florida Atlantic 9-7. Tulane with an early lead on Rice, 3-0. They just kicked off USC and Maryland, Baylor and Texas Tech, New Mexico and Utah State. No score in any of those games. A very quick touchdown for San Jose State. They lead Wyoming 7-0. That game's only about a minute in. And 3 minutes in, Colorado leads Arizona 7-0. A touchdown on the ground for Colorado. James Madison and Georgia Southern have just kicked off. All right, earlier finals today. Fireworks galore in Louisville. Number 6, Miami stays unbeaten. They beat Louisville 52-45. Cam Ward threw for 319 yards and 4 touchdowns in the game. His counterpart, Tyler Show, threw for 342 and 4 touchdowns. Louisville also had a kickoff return for a touchdown, but Miami stays unbeaten at 7-0. Number 10, Clemson pulled away from Virginia 48-31. Cade Klubnik threw for 308 yards and 3 touchdowns. Number 16, Indiana beat Nebraska today 56-7. The biggest part of that, they picked Dominic Raiola 3 times, but Curtis Rourke, who I'm going to start referring to as Heisman candidate, Rourke, because he should be, didn't even play in the second half of this game. He had a hand injury. They were up 28-7 at the half. They won the second half 28-0 with their Heisman candidate on the sideline. Indiana might be good.
They're good.
They're 7-0, 4-0 in the Big Ten. Number 19, Missouri beat Auburn 21-17. Brady Cook went out of this game for Missouri after the first possession. He did not return until the final minute of the third quarter, but he threw for 194 yards in that time, led the game-winning touchdown drive, which went a cool 95 yards. And Auburn is now 0-4 in SEC play, 2-5 overall with 2 rental wins, all that they have to show for it. Musso, what's Hugh Freeze's record at Auburn right now?
8-12.
What was Brian Harsin's record when he got fired?
9-11.
So they fired the guy that had a better record than Hugh Freeze is now.
Yes.
I was just checking. Did they put any money back in the fire coaches fund at Auburn?
That's a question for Yellowwood.
Okay. Number 23 Army. I told you the Army was rolling 45-28 over East Carolina. It really wasn't that close. This was 38-7 after 3. East Carolina got some garbage points in the fourth quarter. And Army just keeps rolling. Bryson Daly ran 31 times today for 171 yards and 5 touchdowns. Count on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 touchdowns.
That's pretty decent.
And I don't even know if he's the best military quarterback. Horvath is great at Navy. Wisconsin beat Northwestern 23-3. It was UCLA with their second win of the season. They beat Rutgers in Piscataway 35-32. Ethan Garber, you remember him from the LSU game? He threw 4 touchdown passes today for the Bruins. Wake Forest beat UConn 23-20. It was Cincinnati over Arizona State 24-14. UL Lafayette beat Coastal Carolina 34-24, and South Carolina beat Oklahoma 35-9. This game was 32-3 South Carolina at the half. It's almost like they ran running clock in the second half. Not much happened. Although Jackson Arnold did go into this game as Oklahoma changed quarterbacks for Arnold. That means burning his red shirt. We'll see what that means the rest of the way for Oklahoma, who is 4-3 and 1-3 in welcome to Southeastern Conference play. All right, we are here at Rouse's, your tailgating headquarters. Whether you're going out to do actual tailgating or you're just getting some supplies for the game at the house, turn left when you come into the store. Get all your beer, your wine, your spirits. There's a bakery here. The Chop House is here. If you go into the right side of the store, more your traditional goods, all your meats, all of your tailgating supplies, your plates, your garbage bags, your silverware, things like that. Soft drinks, Powerade and Coke products, everything that you got here at Rouse's, and, of course, Supreme Rice. So come on by and check us out. We're just about 2 miles away from the LSU campus. Next time LSU is here, it'll be against Alabama. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll hear from the players in today's contest between LSU and Arkansas. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
At Atmos Energy, our smart choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Presented by Super Chevy.
Talkin' Tigers. Talkin' Tigers. Defensive lineman Braden Swinson.
It shows the type of team we're going to be. Not having the big hit after beating the team like that, just staying in the moment, putting this game past us. We watched film yesterday, and, we look at everything on Mondays, and, the next day, our main thing is to throw that game away because we got a whole new great opponent that we finna go against, Arkansas got a lot of great guys on offense, got a lot of key players they got, and, that's going to be a physical game. So that's what we focus on this week.
Running back Josh Williams.
Just the experience that I've had and the opportunities I've had to play and to actually be in those tough situation type of games and those rivalries, I think it'll be great for not only me but some of my teammates in the running back room that I can give them my knowledge and just help them out with the things that I've gone through.
Safety Jordan Gilbert.
It was a good win. We had 24 hours to celebrate it, and now that we're on to the next. Arkansas is a good team, and the point of emphasis this week has been their physical team, so we have to match their physicality.
Defensive lineman Braden Swinson.
I can speak for the edges ourselves, Coach Peoples, he making the emphasis just for, guys to go out there and challenge themselves to be better every day. You're not going to be 100% every day. Some days you're not going to want to do it, but, he makes sure he pushes you and holds you to a standard that makes you want to go out there and just compete for him. And I really appreciate Coach Peoples for that. He's been teaching me and Savion a lot of things. Just overall, they're just building a culture back in here, and they're just doubling down on it.
Running back Josh Williams.
Just talking about Garrett, man, he's the type of quarterback that never gives up. He always keeps his players in the game. He's always chirping everybody, hey, we in this, we got this, let's finish strong. And everybody trusts him and believes in him, and we never really believe that we're going to lose a game. So having somebody like Garrett that's always straightforward and always going for the win and always never giving up, it helps us have that chip on our shoulder that we want to finish strong.
Safety Jordan Gilbert.
Just like how Coach Blake, it's a point of emphasis that we have to trust the process, trust what they got going, trust what they're telling us, trust what they coach. And I just think that our chemistry is building as we trust the process. So as we heat up, as we keep going, as we play for each other, that I feel like each and every week we will improve.
Defensive lineman Braden Swinson.
Coach Peoples always tell me, so like during this whole season, he showed me like, okay, the weeks that I practiced hard and I had like an exceptional week at practice, look at the outcome of the game. So I feel like I took my preparation and practice like to a whole nother level and just honing in on the details and everything. When you winning in practice and like you consistently like just getting it better in practice and like you consistently rep that thing over and over, it just gets easier for you. So it's like on game day, it just feel like everything just feel way easier and I'm able just to play fast.
Running back Josh Williams.
I mean, it's the SEC. Every game is back and forth for the most part. Arkansas is a tough team and they play hard. They have a lot of high effort players, a lot of great schemes, and I can't really tell you exactly why the games are so close, but I do know that we respect this team. We're not looking over them, and we know that they're going to be physical, and we're going to do the same.
Safety Jordan Gilbert.
Understanding that they are a physical team, understanding that they have a mobile quarterback who likes to run, who they have a good running back, but just matching their physicality. I feel like we're the more physical team, so that's what we're going to showcase.
Running back Josh Williams.
We have 11 guys on offense, and it can't just be 9 guys doing their job. It has to be all 11 for the play to really make a home run. And we watched the film, and we believe that everybody on the team can do their job. DYJ, play with high effort. We believe that every play should hit, theoretically. So going into practice, we've really been focusing on everybody doing their job, everybody doing it high effortly.
Safety Jordan Gilbert.
Understanding that in the defensive room, we all we got. So regardless of what the outside saying, regardless of what anybody else saying, whoever in them 4 walls, while we talking and preaching and understanding what we got to do, that's who we got. So while we on the field, that we play for each other.
Talking Tigers. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at Relief Windows.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Keys to the V. Presented by Coors Light. Coors Light. Mountain cold refreshment. Made to chill.
Quick update before we bring Richard Dixon in. Alabama and Tennessee are scoreless inside of 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. Musso, what I have watched today to this point is a lot of bad quarterbacking.
Yes.
I have seen bad quarterbacking from coast to coast today and in between. I watched Oklahoma burn the red shirt to take their quarterback out of the game. I watched a freshman for Nebraska, Dominic Raiola, go throw 3 interceptions against Indiana. Anybody not named Brady Cook that played in the Auburn-Missouri game, that was bad quarterbacking. I just watched Notre Dame throw an interception in the end zone. I just watched Jalen Milroe throw an interception in the end zone. I just watched Nico overthrow a wide-open receiver that would have been a touchdown. The guy could have run to the Tennessee River before they caught him, and he overthrew it because he did not do what you do on long passes, which is put some air under it, kid. We are watching a lot of bad quarterbacking today. Let me bring in a guy who's played with some good quarterbacks and maybe 1 or 2 not so good. Richard Dixon. Rich, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I just want to know when I can leave the house with Auburn with a victory, thinking they're going to get the win, and I come back home and disappointed again.
Do the words 2025 mean anything to you?
Maybe.
They had their opportunities today, but you know I'm not going to call that a bad beat or you know they should have won the game or anything like that. They had their opportunity. They could have won the game, but I'm not going to say they should have won the game because if Brady Cook doesn't get hurt and miss 2.5 quarters, they get routed. You know, they're not going to win. They've got a game with UL Monroe left on the schedule. There'll be a favorite there. I guess they'll win that game, but UL Monroe's not bad.
Maybe.
There's not. None of their games in the conference are sure wins. Right now, Musso just pointed a stat out to me. Hugh Freeze has a worse record through 20 games than Brian Harsin did, and they fired Harsin after 21 games.
After 21
games. So, get your Yellowwood, man.
There you go. Call them up. Get a deck.
They got bills to pay over there. But enough about Auburn's problems. Let's talk about LSU's problem, which is getting up to play after the emotional game a week ago against Ole Miss with A&M next week staring them in the face. And, Rich, you played in this game. You guys played in Little Rock, but it was always a tough game. It was always something where the emotion was on Arkansas' side, something fierce. So tell me about getting up to play this game for LSU.
You know, I mean, this is one of the things that, like, as a player, you look at every game the same. You got to, execute. You got to get yourself up for it. But the outside pressure of Arkansas fans care way more about this game than LSU fans. It's a bigger deal to Arkansas than I've walked around town all week. Nobody's really talking about Arkansas. But I told you 2 weeks ago this game scares me. I mean, Green is a quarterback that is either going to win the game for him or lose the game for him. It's one of these games that, they got to forget about the win last week, get off that high, and realize that, I go back and look at my mistakes from last week and how close we were to losing that game and say, we got to play even better this week and get ready to roll.
Let's talk about why LSU has gotten off to such slow starts, particularly offensively. Rich, we talk all the time about the script. These are the 15 plays or so that you like the best, the ones that you have gone over, the ones that you're sitting in the hotel room the night before that you're, going over and replaying scenarios. Why have those plays not been more successful for LSU, whereas in the second half they've been plenty good?
I think it's a little bit limited to what they can do right now when you can't get the run game going. Mark my words, the first play of the game is going to be a run. We're going to run the ball the first play of the game like we did last week. We got to get it going because what people are starting to do now is drop and play coverage and sit in pockets and zones to where they're making us, put a lot more on his plate. He has to make the perfect throw in between two defenders. And until you can get that run game going to make those guys start playing up and play closer to the line of scrimmage, it's tough. I mean, Nuts has done a great job, but last week was his roughest game. It's because they were going to drop. They did not expect or they weren't confident in LSU's run game.
Rich, we do the podcast, the Handycast. You can see it on YouTube where we're able to actually show the film, the All-22, and you're able to see some things from the end zone. What percentage, you've been watching this, what percentage of the time are you saying LSU's getting what you would call these run looks?
I mean, last week it was damn near every time. I mean, they were playing too high, playing drop. They were dropping 8 at times. I mean, I've heard Brian Kelly say earlier in the season they weren't giving us run looks, and that was the reason why they couldn't run the ball or weren't running the ball. This past week, you can throw that out the window because they were begging you to run the football, and we couldn't get it going. And what's frustrating is when you go back and look at the film we break down is there are plays to be made. There are big run plays that are missed by 1 or 2 blockers that just don't execute their assignment. And if we finally get to a point in the season where we're going to start executing and everybody's doing their job, these runs will start popping, and then Nutt's going to have bigger games in the pass game.
Taylon Green for Arkansas, again, big plays, bad plays. If you're trying to keep him in the pocket, and maybe you're exaggerating some of your looks just to do that, does it compromise you anywhere else?
I don't think so. I think the DBs are playing really strong. I mean, my thing would be on this, we want to go after him and get sacks, but don't get crazy with it. I want to keep contained, rush high, keep him in the pocket, make him win with his arm, and I think we're in a good spot.
You talked about this a little bit on the show yesterday, but I want you to, repeat your comments about Tre'Davious Green. You played tight end, and I asked you yesterday if they had come to you halfway through your freshman year and said, okay, we're just going to split you out now, and you're going to be a wide receiver. What's realistic to expect from him on something that he's obviously done some of, but it is a position change?
Well, it's a lot easier. He can focus just on, two high, single high, man, zone. You can show him the reads. You can show him 4 or 5 different looks that he's going to see most of the time, and he can understand his route concepts off that and where he can get open. I mean, he's a guy that's played, even in high school. I mean, he was a go route guy that, when you're 6'7", can run like that. It's a cheat code. We talked about the touchdown he had last week. It's a cheat code. I mean, he doesn't run a great route, but he's so long, so athletic. He's got the long arms. I mean, he has such an advantage. You just got to get that guy in open space and give him the ball.
Explain what he did wrong on that route and why it worked anyway.
Well, because he just kind of slipped inside. He didn't really press the guy. He didn't make the guy think he had a two-way option. I mean, he gave up his route. He never really pressed the guy, so everybody knew he was going inside. But when he goes inside, normally someone's going to try to undercut it. Well, the kid came up to his armpits, and when his arms were extended, it didn't really matter. He could undercut it, do whatever he wanted. He wasn't going to get there.
All right, LSU and Arkansas from Fayetteville. You always play this game in Little Rock, right?
Yeah, I've never been to Fayetteville in my life.
Well, Moscona gave the TripAdvisor report on Little Rock.
Yeah.
It wasn't pleasant. I've been to Fayetteville. Fayetteville's actually very
Same.
nice.
I like Fayetteville.
I never went for football. I went for baseball, but it's very nice. And it won't be quite so doggone cold. Were these the coldest games that you played in when you played at LSU?
The games in Little Rock were my coldest games in my LSU career. We always played them, Thanksgiving weekend. We went up there. It was freezing. We played on that turf. It's the longest AstroTurf in the world, where every time you hit the ground, you got a mouthful of rubber. Wasn't my favorite place to play.
I can still remember when Trendon Holiday ran the thing back for a touchdown. The rubber pellets coming up behind him. Yeah. When he's running so fast.
That was the worst one. Like, every time you hit the ground, you were spitting out pellets. They got a lot of it.
Yeah, they got facilities improvements since then. All right, Rich, you'll be with us in postgame 90 minutes after the end of LSU and Arkansas. We'll talk to you then.
Yeah, man, see you in a bit.
All right. They're down inside of 30 seconds in the first quarter. Still no score between Tennessee and Alabama. Both teams have had scoring opportunities, but nobody has been able to convert yet. We'll take a break. We're back with the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, from up in Fayetteville. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day, inside the stadium. Presented by Louisiana Federal Land Bank. Louisiana Federal Land Bank. They're experts in rural land and equipment lending.
And we go up to Fayetteville, Arkansas. The voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, up at Razorback Stadium. Chris, I imagine it was a little easier to pack for this trip than most trips to Arkansas, since you didn't have to pack about 8 layers of clothes for game day, right?
Yeah, no, this was a much lighter luggage trip, certainly than the last time. when they were watering the ice down on the field when we arrived for the 11 o'clock kick. But, yeah, it's great football weather, not a cloud in the sky, and temperatures in the low 70s. Might get a little chilly later on after kickoff, but it's going to be a great night. Don't think the weather will have near the impact it had last time.
Yeah, and that's just fine by everybody that's participating, I'm sure. Kind of talk with me about your conversations with Brian Kelly this week. It's a real challenging week, Chris, because it was such a dynamic victory for LSU. So much emotion involved a week ago in Tiger Stadium, but now you got to turn it right back around and get up for a very, very, I would say, game Arkansas team.
Yeah, I asked Coach about that on Thursday, Charlie. I said, hey, are there things in your 3 decades that at least you feel comfortable about, telltale signs from a team, whether they come off an emotional loss or victory, have they really put it behind them? And he said, based on how we do things, you usually can see one way or the other on Tuesday because that's the grind day as far as practice is concerned. And he said, he was really impressed with the guys, the way they came out, got right back to work. There wasn't a whole lot of patting each other on the back and congratulating each other or kind of loafing around. He says he got after it pretty good. He did mention that Thursday, wasn't the best practice in the world, but he really chalked that up to, fall break on campus. There wasn't any classes, and the guys are trying to, maybe spend a little more time, in the morning, resting a little bit. But he said overall, he got the sense that the team certainly had put last week's emotional and physical win in overtime behind them. And goodness knows they're going to need it because this is, I hate to say it, I'm not demeaning Arkansas fans, but based on the way the season's gone, this is the Super Bowl for Arkansas. I mean, this is the game that gets them, they believe, national legitimacy with 2 back-to-back top 10 teams coming in after already beating Tennessee. So Arkansas is going to be ready, among all the other reasons they get up to play LSU every year.
And I'll ask you to set the stage there because this is traditionally a very, very big game for them. But they had their own field rush moment. Now, they got a week off after they beat Tennessee. They were on a bye last week, so they've had a little bit more time to digest it. But what's it look like up in Fayetteville?
Oh, no, they're fired up. I mean, we hit the team hotel, which is a pretty good-sized hotel up in Rogers. I mean, it was obviously LSU, the team, and then everybody else was wearing their hog red. So, I mean, they're ready to go. I saw several this morning at breakfast, and everybody kept saying, are you guys ready? The team, they're going to be ready for what they're walking into tonight. And you just smile and say, yeah, I think they will be. But, yeah, they're up for this. I mean, I know it's been 2 weeks. And I think, again, that's why Arkansas, it kind of fits well for them. And I think Coach Pittman talked about it earlier this week, Charlie, that, they came off the bye week and relatively healthy. I mean, they were kind of a walking mass unit after that physical Tennessee game, but the bye week was good to them. They had a lot of their guys supposedly back closer to 100%. And now they've been able to kind of ramp up the frenzy from the fan base now that LSU's coming to town on a Saturday night.
And, Chris, the biggest injury we'll be watching is the one of Talon Green, the quarterback for Arkansas. He didn't practice early in the week, but he got back on the field in the middle of the week. They say he's ready to go. Only he knows for sure if he'll be compromised at all. But I know that Brian Kelly talked about having to defend him, especially trying to keep him in the pocket because when he gets on the move, he's awfully dangerous.
Yeah, that's when he's at his best, really. I mean, he's thrown extremely well. He's one of the top, as far as yardage is concerned, he's one of the top quarterbacks in the SEC. I think somewhere around 232 yards a game in league play. And, again, a lot of that is when he escapes the pocket and extends the play. If they can keep him in the pocket, keep his feet going up and down instead of side to side, I think that's what they want to do. And obviously they also prepared for Malachi Singleton because give Singleton credit after Green went down in that game, you kind of felt like, Tennessee was like, okay, here's our window. Singleton had the go-ahead and what eventually would be the winning touchdown in that game. Different style, different type of player, but I know they prepared for both, and we'll wait and see how close to 100% Green is. But, he's not quite K.J. Jefferson, but he still is a dual-threat quarterback, and that always presents problems.
He strikes me, since you brought Jefferson up to the last quarterback there, he strikes me as more of a long strider, maybe even a little bit better straight-on speed. He's not quite as thick as Jefferson was. Jefferson would actually run the ball between the tackles at times. So, I don't know. They got some similarities. They're both dual-threat guys. Green, I don't know. When he's healthy, might be just a touch faster.
Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, when you watch some of his highlights running, I mean, he's outrunning guys, whereas Jefferson would carry 3 or 4 guys down the field.
Yeah, he would.
Like you say. So, I think he's maybe a little more fleet of foot.
Top of the hour, we will hand the baton to you guys at the network for pregame. What's coming up on the show?
Well, you know what? We're going to talk about this matchup, and I know the guys, I was talking to them earlier in the week. Hunt talked about it on his show all week. You know, it's this confounded thing that, you know, there's been so many games where LSU comes up to Fayetteville really on paper with the better team, and the game just doesn't play out that way. And it's amazing that since that magical 2019 team where they dismantled Arkansas, since then it's all been decided by, 3 points exactly. So I'm sure they'll discuss that. And then we're going to get a little love to LSU's cross-country team, Charlie. Both the men and women having some of their best seasons this year. So Houston Franks, coach of cross-country, going to join the guys, kind of update on what they're going on. And then they'll hand it off to us to, I'm sure, what will be a raucous Reynolds Razorback Stadium for kickoff at 6:05 minus the 5-minute slide, which we'll find out later.
All right, have a great call and a safe trip home, and we'll talk to you next week when the Tigers visit Texas A&M. Thanks, Chris.
Always appreciate you, Charlie. Thank you, guys.
All right, LeBear's kickoff, countdown to kickoff at 2 hours and 15 minutes. We'll take a break, come back, get you up to date on the scores around college football. We're at Rouse's, Burbank and Lee, Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to
98.1. The Robinson Brothers Ford Lincoln College Football Scoreboard. Robinson Brothers Ford Lincoln on airline under the giant American flag.
Knoxville. Early second quarter, 7-0 Alabama. Jalen Milroe with a touchdown pass to Ryan Williams to open the scoring. Number 12 Notre Dame leads Georgia Tech 14-7. Riley Leonard threw an interception that led to a Georgia Tech touchdown, but he's run for 2 scores for the Irish. That game is late in the first half. Fourth quarter scores: Central Michigan leads Eastern Michigan 34-16. Temple leads Tulsa 20-10. Number 22 Illinois leads number 24 Michigan 13-0. Luke Altmaier, the transfer from Mississippi, has a touchdown pass for Illinois. Number 25 Navy, they're leading Charlotte in the second quarter, 38-3. Now, Army was leading earlier today, 38-7 after 3 quarters. It's almost like Navy said, "Okay, you want to see? Watch what we can do.
Anything you can do, I can do better."
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I'm enjoying the service academies just rolling here in this 2024 season. Blake Horvath has 2 touchdown passes. 2 touchdown passes for Navy. For Navy.
With touchdown passes.
That's correct. North Carolina State leading Cal 10-7 late in the second quarter at Berkeley. Kansas leading Houston 28-14, also late in the second quarter. Washington State leads Hawaii 21-3. These are all second quarter scores. Old Dominion leads Texas State 14-0. Miami of Ohio leads Ohio 16-0. Bowling Green leads Kent State 13-6. It's Western Michigan over Buffalo 28-17. Toledo leads Northern Illinois 7-3. South Florida leads UAB 7-6. Florida Atlantic leads Texas San Antonio 17-10. Rice with a lead against Tulane 7-3. That's a mild surprise. No, that's not a mild surprise. That's a big surprise. Minute 38 to go in the first half there. The Wave on a drive, though, inside the Rice 25-yard line. USC leads Maryland 7-0. They've just started the second quarter there. Colorado leads Arizona 14-7. They've also just started the second quarter. Baylor and Texas Tech are tied at 7 late in the first quarter. Utah State leads New Mexico 17-8. San Jose State leads Wyoming 7-0. Same score for Georgia Southern leading James Madison. Texas A&M and Mississippi State are tied at 7. That is late in the first quarter in Starkville. Earlier finals today. Number 6 Miami beat Louisville 52-45. Cam Ward threw 4 touchdown passes for the Canes. They stay unbeaten at 7-0. Number 10 Clemson won their 6th straight. They beat Virginia 48-13. Cade Klubnik threw for 308 yards and 3 touchdowns. Number 16 Indiana beat Nebraska 56-7. The Heisman Trophy candidate Curtis Rourke did not play in the second half because of a hand injury. No problem for Indiana. They won the second half 28-0. Dominic Raiola, the freshman for Nebraska, 3 interceptions in a rough day. Number 19 Missouri beat Auburn 21-17. Brady Cook came back in the game after missing 2.5 quarters and led Missouri on a 95-yard touchdown drive to win it 21-17. Auburn remains winless in conference play. Told you about Army. They finished up 45-28 against East Carolina today. 23rd ranked Cadets got 5 touchdowns on the ground from quarterback Bryson Daly. Wisconsin beat Northwestern 23-3. It was UCLA over Rutgers 35-32. Wake Forest beat UConn 23-20. Cincinnati beat Arizona State 24-14. UL Lafayette beat Coastal Carolina 34-24. Cajuns get bowl eligible with that win. They are 6-1, 3-0 in the Fun Belt. And South Carolina blasted Oklahoma today 35-9. Jackson Arnold returned at quarterback for Oklahoma, burning his red shirt, but Oklahoma was down 32-3 at the half, and second half was pretty much a nondescript snooze fest. Yeah, so South Carolina moves to 4-3 on the season, and that is your college football scoreboard. We're back to wrap it up here at Rouse's when we return. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold.
98.1. Shade over 2 hours now. And here as we wrap up from Rouse's Corner, Burbank and Lee. Musa, some final thoughts about the game?
Yeah, it still scares the hell out of me. Hanny, we often joke in this segment kind of about the fast start thing, and I'd love to see LSU get off to a fast start tonight, but it's just, I don't expect it. That hasn't been a thing all year. So I would imagine for them more along the lines of weather the early storm, and there will be a storm in this game early. Arkansas is going to be fired up. They're going to be ready. They're going to make some plays. But your quarterback is better than their quarterback. Your quarterback is the best quarterback they've seen all season, and your quarterback has proven time and time again this year to be able to make the big play when you need it, and I think you're going to have that from him again. I would love to see LSU run the football more, but again, that just hasn't been a thing this year. So until it is, I don't really know if you can count on it. I don't think you can count on it. So we'll wait and see. I also do worry about fatigue on defense in this game, Hanny, because you had a lot of guys play damn near every snap of the game last week on defense, and it was a very physical game, and you'll be facing another physical team here tonight. So that concerns me a little bit as well.
All right, I agree with the fatigue part. I disagree with everything else you said. Here's why. No, I'm only kind of joking here. I don't disagree with it, but I'll make a counterpoint here.
Okay.
You have gotten off to all of these slow starts. That's true. So instead of trying to run the football early, which you haven't been, hang on, let me back up a step. About a 90% chance that LSU is going to have the football to start the game. If Kelly wins the toss, he's going to take the ball.
Absolutely.
And if Arkansas wins the toss, they're going to defer. So unless somebody goes, crazy and does something unusual, LSU is going to have the ball to start. They can't run the football. Okay, they've tried. But right now, this get out and establish the run thing ain't working. LSU's biggest advantage position-wise is their receivers against Arkansas's defensive backs. So here's an idea. If you insist on taking the football to start the game and you know you can't run it, throw it. Have Nussmeier come out, give him some easy things to complete. You've got some matchup problems, okay? Trey'Dez Green is a matchup problem.
Yes.
Mason Taylor is a matchup problem.
Yes.
Caden Durham out of the backfield. These are easy things to throw. I'm not talking about push the ball 30 yards down the field in a low percentage pass. I'm talking about some things that you know you can roll out of bed and complete. The things that are in the script, the things that you have gone over time and time and time again. Give me those first 12 to 15 plays of, man, I know this is going to work, okay? And I'm looking for high percentage passes and get out to gasp, a lead.
A lead.
How about
okay,
that?
That'd be great.
Try and take the crowd out of the game as much as you can. Okay, it's easy to say, not the easiest thing to do. Thanks to our hosts here at Rouse's for being our game day place to sit down and get all of our tailgating supplies when it's time for home games. 90 minutes after the end of LSU and Arkansas, we'll be in studio. Richard Dixon and myself will be taking your phone calls. From all of us here at Rouse's, everybody back at the flagship, I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. From Rouse's, this has been Eagle 98.1 Game Day.